answer is now.
The impossible angle.
Sensational goal.
And that's what brings fans through the gate.
Roll up, it's time for the show. Forget everything that you know. You ain't seen nothing like this. It's impossible to resist.
Season 2022, the fans are back. The colour and soundtrack of our great game. Let's go.
You ain't seen nothing like this.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Surely it can't from here. Gives it everything. Yes, he can.
Turns, whacks it straight through the middle.
Jams it on the right. Kicks another.
A burst of pace. And he finishes.
How much do you want it? How much do you need it? How much do you want this? We're gonna be kings.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
From 50. Good kick. The MCG are up.
AFL.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
This rivalry defined a good chunk of last decade, and there is still plenty of intrigue each time Hawthorn comes up against Sydney. The lingering presence of a bygone era is still present, but really, at the core of today's match here in Launceston, all you really have are two sides littered with top-line AFL talent and a tremendous amount of upside as the Hawks and the Swans both look to assert themselves on the top 8 landscape in season 2022. Great to welcome you on Grandstand AFL to York Park, where conditions are cool, a bit foggy as well off in the distance, but an otherwise beautiful early afternoon here just after midday local time. My name is Brett Sprigg, and calling the action alongside me is Chris Rowbottom. G'day, Chris.
G'day, Spriggy. Great to be here. Conditions not quite what we were presented with in Hobart yesterday. A little more overcast. The lights are on already here at York Park, but it should be a fascinating game of footy. On paper, the Swans are probably a 6 to 8 goal better team, but the Hawks have been plucky so far in 2022, and here at their Tassie Fortress, they're always hard to beat, no matter the personnel. And you spoke about that lingering rivalry that goes back probably 10 or so years now. Lance Franklin, the conduit between the old era and the new era. The Swans colours, of course, these days. He's back, perhaps somewhat surprisingly. Can't wait to see him run around on York Park once again.
Certainly right. The crowd is still filing in. A nice early crowd, of course. The opening bounce still about 22 minutes or so away. No late changes for either of these two sides. The Swans team is pretty straightforward. As you said, Lance Franklin comes back in from his broken finger, which did require surgery. Sam Reid goes back out, and veteran Josh Kennedy, also with a profound link to either of these two sides, is again their medical sub. The Hawks have been forced into a number of changes, 5 all up. Jaff and Phillips have been withdrawn since the Thursday team announcement due to hamstring and ankle concerns, respectively. That's already on top of Ned Reeves, who's out with a shoulder, and Mitch Lewis, also a big out due to his hamstring injury. Liam Shields is being managed, but has been retained as the medical sub. Last week's sub, James Warple, gets a start, as does Chad Wingard, Finn McGuinness, Max Lynch and Will Day all returning. So that rounds out the team news here. It is also, of course, Anzac Day. And as I always say, football merely finds its place on this most poignant of days. And while sport bears no comparison to the theatres of war, football stands as a reminder of something so heavily ingrained in our Australian culture that we are lucky enough to enjoy in our free and democratic society because of the sacrifices of those who served. There will be an Anzac observance here on ground shortly as the Swans make their way out, led out by Luke Parker. And, of course, the co-captains, Callum Mills and Dane Rampy. The Swans in their usual strip. The home strip they usually wear, and the red shorts as well. The Hawks to make their way out shortly. Nathan Burke and Jay Schultz are back with us again. Welcome to you, Burkie, firstly.
G'day, gentlemen. It's slightly different feel than yesterday down in Hobart, but these are great conditions to play football in. There's good cloud cover, there's no sun in your eyes, there's no wind. Jay's a local. He said it might get a little bit slippery later on, but everything is set up for a great game of football here today.
Jay Schultz, this is your relatively new hometown. Thanks for having us here in Launceston.
Mate, happy to, and I will correct you boys a little bit. This is actually UTAS Stadium now, boys. It's not York Park.
No,
it's not.
This is the ABC, so we always go back to the old names.
I'll take it back my way.
Part of your education is we go back to the old names. So York Park for us traditionally, but what are you expecting here today?
Look, I'm expecting a bloody good game, to be honest. I mean, these two sides, when they play against each other, like I said yesterday, it's it's a bit like when the Crows and Port play against each other. It doesn't really matter where they're at during the season. It's always a good game of footy. The Hawks always play this ground really well. They know it really well, and they're up and about with Sammy Mitchell. So I'm expecting a really good, tight hit out.
I mentioned off the top Anzac Day and the ways in which football helps mark the occasion. I think by and large it's done tastefully and respectfully. What does Anzac Day mean to you both, and do you like football's place within it?
I do. I'm a lot older than all three of you guys, and so I've gone through the period of Anzac Day being huge, and then there was a dip in interest in Anzac Day. It started to drop off, but I think with what football's done, what other sports have done, has really elevated it again to a new generation, understanding the sacrifices that were made and the importance of the Anzac spirit and mateship and everything else that we talk about on this day. So I think the AFL and the sporting landscape have done a wonderful service.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It's always been a big privilege to play in these games over this weekend. And like you say, footy finds its place involved with Anzac Day. My oldest brother, who was in the Army for 8 years, he did time over in Timor as well. So it holds a fairly big significance to me and my family as well. So it's a very special day for a lot of people, and we are very, very lucky as Australians to live where we do.
Yeah, good call. These sides will play for the Alec Campbell Cup this afternoon. So that's in honour of the last known survivor of the Gallipoli campaign. Alec Campbell passed away aged 103 back on May 16, 2002. And as a Tasmanian, his daughter Felicity Tagney will present the cup to the winning team today. The best on ground, or the player whose conduct and play during the game best exemplifies the Anzac spirit, skill, courage in adversity, self-sacrifice, teamwork and fair play, will be awarded the Frank McDonald Medal. The medal is awarded in honour of Australia's oldest World War I veteran and last surviving serviceman to have been cited for bravery in that war. And he passed away at age 107 on August 23, 2003. So the Alec Campbell Cup and the Frank McDonald Medal to be contested here today at York Park in Launceston. It's Sydney's first time here, by the way, since their 1-point loss elimination final last year against GWS. Their only previous game before that at this venue was a 37-point win back in 2012, and of course that was right at the height of that premiership rivalry, with the Swans going on to win the flag that year against the Hawks in the grand final. I get the impression, Berkey, the rivalry does endure because of the links certain players have, and none bigger than Buddy Franklin, who comes back in today remarkably after just missing only a week with that finger surgery.
It is amazing. Teams tend to do that. There's a lot of these players, it's funny, they wouldn't have grown up barracking for the Swans, and they wouldn't have grown up barracking for the Hawks, and so they don't really know a lot of the rivalry. But when you actually get into the club and they start talking about it, and you can almost palpably feel the added excitement of when you're coming up against one of these traditional rivals. And I'm sure the young Hawks players would have felt it last week coming up against the Cats and that rivalry there. So I don't think this one is on the level of the Hawthorn Geelong one, no. But there's certainly, and with Buddy leaving the Hawks and going there, well, yeah, as a player as well, you think, you know what, I don't want you to have success, leave us and have success, so I'm going to make extra effort today to make sure that you don't get it.
There's also Josh Kennedy, Tom Mitchell, of course, as well, a former Swan who's had success with the Hawks, certainly individual success, so a few names across both of those sides, and plenty of talent. Jay, there are some names missing. Hawthorn are missing their bigs, or at least some of their bigs. Mitch Lewis, who's had a great start to the year. Mentioned Ned Reeves with the shoulder, of course. Jath down back, but certainly from a goals perspective, with a few of the names already out. Ben McAvoy, of course, had to reshuffle their rucks. Where do those goals come from is the question. Yeah, look, I think they probably come from their smalls again. Obviously Mitch Lewis is a big loss, and he kicks the ball well. He kicks the ball straight. I think he's kicked only maybe 6 behinds on 15 goals for the year. So he is a really big out. But I think their small guys we've always known for a while that their small guys are dangerous. You've got Chad Wingard, obviously, he's in there as well. Jarman Impey can play both ends of the ground. And then you've obviously got Luke Bruce, who's one of the best small forwards to have played for a long time. So I think that's probably where they're going to come from again, with Mitch Lewis being out. I was just thinking, was it Buddy that when he was playing for the Hawks kicked 14 down here? 13. Against, was that here or was that down It was here, against Gold Coast, wasn't it? Or it was North Melbourne. Melbourne. Yeah. So he knows the ground well as well. But my other thing in the back of my mind with the Hawthorn boys is the fact that they had that massive game last weekend.
that can take a fair bit of out of guys mentally as well. They can get themselves built up for this massive rivalry, which they did against the Cats, and then sometimes they can be a bit of a lull this week. I hope that's not the case with the Hawks boys today, but that could play a card as well.
So, 12-point winners on Easter Monday. We were talking about that game yesterday, having covered the Geelong game down in Hobart. The Swans comfortably accounted for the West Coast Eagles over in Perth by 63 points. Isaac Heaney, speaking of sort of relatively small players that know where the goals are, 3 goals, 2 last week. Callum Mills also accumulates as well. He's found a new even greater onus, I suppose, with a leadership position, and Errol Goulden 27 touches, Luke Parker 26 disposals and 2 goals won. So the talent is certainly there. The Swans currently 5th at 4-1, the Hawks at 3-2, but having come off that impressive 2-goal victory on Easter Monday last week. Berkey, Sydney has great versatility down back as well. They've got a good mix of talls and smalls, and is that the main sort of focus area for you as far as Hawthorn's attack versus Sydney's defence, or where do you focus on today's matchups?
Yeah, that defence will be important for Sydney. I love the fact that they've taken a number 1 draft pick full forward and turned him into a key defender in McCartan.
Yeah, Paddy McCartan.
It's a wonderful effort to do that, and great to see Paddy, from all his troubles that he's gone through with concussion, to be out there, not just playing footy, but playing really, really good football. That's going to be important, but the midfield battles for me is really important. Who can get the ball inside 50 most often, but not just get it in, but get it in good shape, in good positions, because we saw yesterday down in Hobart, North Melbourne were getting the ball inside 50, but it was 45, 50 metres out, having shots from there. So it's about, this is I think it's square footage. It's the biggest ground in the league. So there's plenty of open space out there. Who can use that space to get players free, to get the ball inside 50 in good positions is going to be the key for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And like you say, with Paddy McCartan, it is fantastic to see him. And it's funny that he wears the number 39. He looks exactly like Heath Grundy as well, who I used to have some battles with as well.
Heath Grundy himself has mentioned that.
Yeah,
we're with those guys up in Sydney, and Ty Kennelly knows Reg quite well. And yeah, number 39, he's got the same sort of build. He's just clunking those intercept marks all day long. It's coming in high and long, and he's just there all the time. So it is a resurgence. He's only 26, turned 26 last week. So for a guy who's for a number of reasons, of course, his concussion issues, his career was gone. He came back through the VFL and the supplementary system as well to get a gear, get the Swans with his brother Tom. It is a great footy yarn.
Yeah, absolutely. And no one likes to see players go out of the game early. So for him to be able to find his way back in and playing, like Berkey was saying, really good footy. He's obviously really strong. He reads the ball really well, and I think that probably comes from his forward play when he was younger. And now he's just made himself a real solid and hard person to beat in down back.
It's a masterstroke to put him back, because you bring him back in as a full forward. Everybody, when you're full forward, Jay, you know this better than anyone else, they judge your game by how many goals you kick. And so instead of saying, hey, Paddy, you've come back into the team with Sydney Swans, how many goals you're going to kick? Well, take that out of the equation completely. Let him go back down the other end and just, play his craft and take some marks. And he's always been a really good decision maker with ball in hand, and do that down there. So it takes away that pressure of being a full forward, I need to kick goals, completely away from him, and he's just relishing that.
Yeah, and absolutely they've got that card in their back pocket. Like, someday a game might need to be won, with 2 minutes to go.
Yep.
Whack him down forward, and he's obviously been a forward, and he can clunk one and win a game for you. So it's a massive result for them. And they always say that the really good forwards spend time playing as a backman throughout their career at some point. So I think it's going to do nothing but good for his development as a forward if he eventually goes back that way as well.
The voice of Jay Schultz and Nathan Burke, our experts here on Grandstand AFL. The Observance is a couple of minutes away here at a cool and overcast York Park in Launceston. The sides are out there warming up. Hard to get a read on the Hawks, Burkey. Their wins against North Melbourne, Port Adelaide in the first couple of rounds, you'd think, well, those are sides they of course lost to Carlton by a point, then were thumped by the Saints, who look a quality side as well. Beat the Cats last week. If they can beat a side like the Sydney Swans today, that does reaffirm that they can be in the conversation. But I'm not sure even Sam Mitchell knows what this side is capable of.
No, I think out of all the teams this year, these are the Hawks are the hardest to get my finger on. I didn't even have them in the 8 at the start of the season. I think they're in a bit of a rebuilding phase on the way through. But then they win first 2 and everyone thinks, they're up and about. Carlton, they're up and about, but they just just didn't quite get over the line. As you said, they got absolutely thumped by the Saints, and then they rebound from that and beat the Cats, who are a finals contender. So I think they need to win games like this for us to take them serious. If they don't beat Sydney, who everybody's going to have in the top 8, they're going to be there. They need to win games like this. You're down in Tasmania, where you play often, where you play good football. If you're going to be taken seriously, you need to win today.
And yet, for all the fact that the Swans look an impressive unit, they're currently sitting in 5th. They beat the Giants and the Cats in the first 2 rounds. So Geelong, the Cats, a reasonable opponent. Lost to the Dogs, which is a bit of a surprise. And then North and West Coast in the past couple of weeks. They were scary against the Kangaroos, really, at the SCG a couple of weeks ago. So they've been unconvincing at times as well in the past couple of weeks. This would be an equally good scalp for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I probably had the Hawks at the start of the year. I sort of had them pinned from probably anywhere from 7 to 12 in that bracket there somewhere. They're going to... I think what they've shown is that Sammy hasn't put a ceiling on them at all, and he's giving them free range to play, but trying to play with structure as well. So they're, like Berkey's saying, in a bit of a rebuild phase. So they'll have their ups and downs. They'll have their down weeks like they did last week and get, not last week, the week before, and cop a bit of a thumping. But then they'll also be able to match it with the best sides at times as well. So I'm thinking Sydney's going to get it done today, but I think they'll push them.
We'll get your final thoughts shortly. The teams are lining up on the wing for the Anzac Observance. The Hawks have a special Anzac jumper on with a lone soldier standing on the middle column or stripe on their usual brown and gold jumper. Let's go down to our Anzac Observance now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would ask you now to please stand for the Anzac Observance ceremony to be presented by RSL Tasmania for the ode, last post, moment silence, followed by the reveille. And we would ask you to please remain upstanding for the Australian National Anthem.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able, we'd ask you to please remain upstanding and remove your hat for the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, it's especially stirring on today of all days, a day of utmost significance, reflection, remembrance for those who served and sacrificed, and our thoughts very much with those still on active duty and connected families as well. The players break to their respective parts of the ground. The opening bounce just moments away here on Anzac Day in Launceston. Might check in boundary side with that Kangaroo Nicole Bresnahan again on the boundary for us today. What's it like down there, Nicole?
Yeah, guys, plenty of lively fans down here at the moment. Pretty good conditions here at York Park. As you said before, we've got the lights on. It's a little overcast, but otherwise, pretty great.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. We'll check in with you right across the day. Berkey, Jay, give us your final couple of points on this game, how it plays out and who you like, ultimately.
Look, like I said before, I think the Swans will get there just, although I think it'll be a really good tight game. Like I said earlier on, the Hawks play this ground really well, and they have shown that they can match it at the moment. So if they can do it consistently, like Berkey was saying, that they need to win a game like this for us to really think they're a contender.
Berkey, you've had the walkovers this weekend. We're hoping this won't be a 10 or 15 goal drubbing. On paper it suggests not, but what do you like about the way these sides match up?
To be honest, I'm not expecting a fantastic game. The Hawks tend to play, normally because it's very windy, they tend to play some pretty dour football when they're down here. And the only time I've seen the Swans this year, I saw them play against the Western Bulldogs live. And I wasn't impressed. They didn't play a great style of football then either. So I'm expecting a pretty dour, low-scoring affair, despite, you got Buddy up one end. So, as I said, the two games I've seen this weekend, the margins have been a combined 140-odd points. So I'm hoping for anything that's close. But I think the Hawks will get up in a really close, dour game.
Jager O'Meara has won the toss, and the Hawks will kick to the city end here at York Park. So that the grandstands are close to full, plenty of red and white, plenty of brown and gold as well. And we'll have the opening bounce happening in just a few moments' time. It is just very different, Chris, to yesterday, I suppose. We spoke about what a nice day it was in Hobart. It's equally beautiful today. It's still almost, it's just, as I say, just gone past midday here. But these are Tasmanian conditions, and Hawthorn, I suppose, have a bit of a local edge in that respect.
Yeah, quintessential Tasmanian conditions. A little bit overcast, a little bit of fog in the air, definitely a chill in the air. And I notice Chad Wingard has abandoned the long sleeves on probably the coldest afternoon he would have played on so far this year. So that's a point of interest for Hawks fans. Crowd is really good. Sydney have a strong following in Tasmania, and as you mentioned, lots and lots of red and white scattered amongst the York Park seating, equally just as many Hawks fans, of course, as well. So great to see Tasmanians getting along to the footy. Should be a good game on, as I say, what is a quintessential Tasmanian Monday afternoon.
Not sure if a text came through from the old coach, Alistair Clarkson, regarding the long sleeves, whether it was just get those sleeves off. We know how Clarko feels about the long sleeves. Anyway, the Hawks and the Swans getting set here at York Park. It is a beautiful day for footy. Cool and overcast. The grandstands are packed, and getting us underway on Grandstand AFL, here is Chris Rowbottom.
Just about all set to go. Max Lynch for the Hawks lining up in the ruck. He had a concussion, then COVID protocols, and he was stung by a bee, had an anaphylactic reaction. So a string of horrific luck for the former Pie, but he's back in the team today. He'll contest the ruck against Peter Laddams as they go up. He wins the Tapters links. In fact, he wins the first clearance of the game. Hawks go forward inside 50. Moore couldn't take the mark. Spell come from behind. Heaney's at half back. Down on hands and knees was Wingard. Fed it up to Morrison. Got it to Mitchell. High up and under. Shallow entry. Blakey flew. Got hands to it. Thought he claimed the mark. Unable to reel it in. It's all wrapped up at ground level. We'll have the first ball up of the game, 45 metres out from Hawthorn's goal.
Max Lynch looks like they've just dragged him out from Launceston seconds, to be honest. He doesn't look like a league football. He's a big unit.
Trying to clear. Mills kick smothered. Heaney tries to keep it alive and he slips over, so we'll throw it back in. 45 around from Hawthorn's goal. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFL, right across local radio through Tasmania. Digital on the app, everywhere else. Back in it comes. Lynch in front of Laddams. Down is Paddy McCartan. She has a hand pass out. What here? They can clear through McInerney. He goes looking to the wing. On the bounce, it sits up down there for Haywood. Off to Rampy. Sweeps it back here for Lloyd. From left half back. It's a neat ball up the line and he finds James Bell.
So Bell marks in front of James Sicily. In front of the commentary position here at York Park. He'll send a long ball towards half forward. Parker set himself, got access to the foot. He couldn't take the mark. It came up with Scrimshaw. He got it off to Connor Nash for the Hawks. Kick around the body towards half forward. Luke Bruce was clever to tap it to himself. He couldn't control whether it was spilled out of bounds for a boundary throw-in directly in front of the commentary position. Right half forward for the Hawks, 70 metres out from goal.
2 minutes played, still waiting for a score here on Anzac Day. Hawthorn and Sydney on Grandstand AFL. Umpire heaves it back in. Rucks go to it. Laddams up in front, taps it down. Parker gathers here for the Swans. Back when he spent it before he had it. He's run down from behind by Tom Mitchell. Mills goes in as well. It's one away by Warple. His hand pass a little dicey though. Gathered here by the Swans. Now intercepted again. Warple involved. Mitchell. Clever hand pass. Newcomb involved now. Off half forward. They're queuing up. They get the entry here through Will Day. Wingard flies and pulls in the mark. 40 out, slightly left of centre.
Been a lot of players around the ball earlier on. Like the ground looks really small at the moment because both teams are throwing a lot of numbers up, are getting right up to try and close down any space, but they were lucky there, the Hawks. They came through the middle and Chad had the open space on the outside.
One of their 5 inclusions here, Chad Wingard, for the Hawks this afternoon. This would be the ideal start for him. 3 minutes gone. Hawthorn the first opportunity. On that left boot, Chad Wingard. It's across the face to the right-hand side for a minor score. Hawthorn one behind. Sydney yet to score. As I say, 3 gone opening term here on Grandstand AFL.
Gunston versus Rampy is a matchup that is really tantalising to watch. Hopefully they two stand next to each other for the majority of the day.
Jake Lloyd plays on out of full back, but the kick is error, and it was in the Cunningham direction, but Wingard got across and spiked it out of bounds left half forward for the Hawks, 60 metres around from Hawthorn's goal. The Hawks are the only score of the afternoon so far. They lead 1 behind. The Swans yet to score. In it comes Laddams and Lynch. Lynch got it down to O'Meara. Tumbling ball inside 50. Lloyd got a cross in front of Wingard and he too sparked it out of bounds. The Hawks gained some territory. It'll be a boundary throw-in 30 metres around from Hawthorn's goal.
That's 2 players now who could have marked the ball but elected to just punch it over the boundary line. Whether there's just a little bit of slipperiness or something down there, just not confident.
Laddams won it down from the boundary throw-in. Warple onto a loose footy, fed out the handball to Moore. He retreated further to Scrimshaw, evades the tackle, sends a low ball inside 50. Kaczynski took it on the bounce, didn't claim the mark. Impey went low. In fact, it was Gunston and he got a push in the back, and he'll kick for goal from 15 metres out for the Hawks' first of the afternoon. No angle to speak of.
Just a little bit of a repeat mad ball. Ball going in, scrappy, and they get a free kick.
So Jack Gunston lines up around the body, no problems. Gunston has the first of the afternoon. Hawthorn 1-1-7 leads Sydney yet to score. 4.5 minutes gone. First term Grandstand AFL.
Can't stand that, Berkey. I cannot stand the snapping around the body at the moment. It's really doing my head in.
Yeah, I think it's just all got to do with how they drop the ball. So when you're snapping around the corner, you actually got your hand underneath the ball, and it's easier to lower the ball down than have the hand on the side of the ball where it could come out sideways, forwards or whatever. So a lot of it comes down to that drop. But you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I think if you kick it, then great. If you don't, well then, geez, you need to have a good hard think about it, because the coaches are going to start getting really angry. I saw the Saints play the other night, and they missed 3 goals from 15 metres out dead in front, and players were trying snaps, everything, and couldn't get it right.
I don't think you're alone, Schultz. I think a lot of footy fans lament the aversion to the drop punt, which most key forwards seem to be displaying, as we're balled up again here, waiting for a clearance.
I'd teach goal kicking, mate. I'll give you a little bit of a run in the next break.
Up it goes. Laddams down here, only as far as Mitchell. Shares it with Newcomb. He emerges. Centering ball inside forward. 50. Strong grab taken. And a nice lead out here for the Hawks. And going back to take it will be Kazitsky.
Inside 50's a 5-0 at this stage. 20-12 in terms of possessions, clearances, all being won. Contested possessions, 10-6 in favour of the Hawks. They've come to play, and Sydney on the back foot.
It's 2 goals won last time these sides met. That was round 13 last year, Jacob Kazitsky. Here he is lining up for back-to-back Hawthorn majors. On the approach, it's very high but very straight. And the Hawks do have the first couple. 2-1-13. The Swans still yet to score. 6.5 played the opening quarter here on ABC Sport. This is Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, Berkey's right. They definitely have come ready to play. I mean, I don't think the Swans have had it in their half of the ground at the moment. They're bringing everyone up to try and clog it up and try and get some ball out. But the Hawks are just in and under, and they just keep surging the ball forward.
Swans got Mills, Rowbottom, Parker in the middle, and Josh Kennedy started the game on the bench. I think now, I don't know what plans you've got, but now would be the time where we say, hey, we need a bit of experience.
He's sub.
He's sub.
Yeah.
Which is
unusual.
Quite unusual. You'd love him to be out there at the moment. They're getting flogged in the clearances 5-1, and they're getting out-tackled 5-1 despite not having the football.
They got the fast start last week against the Cats, the Hawks, and they've started this game against the Swans in equally quick fashion. There's a free kick out of the centre bounce. It'll go the way of Rowbottom. High tackle applied by Tom Mitchell, who sent the Swans forward for the first time this afternoon in the Franklin direction. McLean flew, couldn't take the mark. Franklin emerged with the footy. He's tackled, got it out to Wrong. He rode the Morrison tackle. Franklin goes again. Handball ended up with McDonald of the Hawks, who got it to Frost. His kick clears defensive 50. Getting back was Paddy McCartan. He couldn't take the mark. Has been a free kick. Paid. Will go the way of Gunston for the Hawks, pushed out of the contest.
Gunston's kick up to Newcomb, coming late. Blakey makes the contest and gives away the free kick for chopping of the arms.
Lucky there, I think.
So Newcomb just forward to the wing.
Shouldn't be a free kick, but we'll talk about that one later too.
Round 5 Rising Star nomination last week, John Newcomb. 31 disposals Easter Monday against the Cats. Up inside 50 it goes, looking for the smaller target down there and more. That's off hands and over for a throw-in right at the junction of 50, City end. Hawthorn have all the scoring so far, 2-1-13. The Swans yet to score through the first 8.5 minutes.
So boundary throw-in, another chance for the Hawks. We're looking to add a third in quick succession. In it comes, Lynch and Laddams do the ruck work. It'll be in Hawthorn hands through Morrison. He lost it in the tackle. He was deemed holding the ball. It'll be a free kick to Sydney. Callum Mills to take it. The ball wasn't returned on the fall. Half a call for 50, and perhaps a little lucky the Hawks.
One umpire looked at the other one who wasn't actually looking at the play. So if you saw it, you call it.
So Mills jabs a ball centrally. Florent has it in the back of the square. He goes into the middle of the ground. Strong mark taken by Laddams. Rampy now off the back of the square. He continued to run. Got it over to Franklin. He ran into trouble. 2 Hawks tackled him. Turnover. Mitchell gave it to Newcomb. He's got a man streaming inside 50 all on his own. Dylan Moore will take it on the chest and kick the easiest of goals for the Hawks. 3 in a row, Hawthorn. And they're off to an absolute flyer in Launceston. 3-1-19 the Hawks. Sydney yet to score. 9.5 gone first term.
It was actually a really good ball inside through the middle to Laddams, but then the handball into Buddy, which then got it turned over, and he turned it over in that part of the ground. It's just going to hurt you every single time. So, and the Hawks, they had one out the back and like an easy goal.
I think that was a little bit of a case of Rampy got the first handball coming through the middle, and the next ball should have been in their goal square basically, but you get a little bit Buddy focused. And the handball to Buddy with his back to goal, surrounded by two players, didn't get rid of it, tried to take the game on. If that wasn't Buddy, I don't think that handball gets made by Rampy. The ball gets put into the forward line.
Yeah. Well, you start back in the middle. Again, it's Lynch and Laddams. Mitchell taken higher by Laddams. It'll be a free kick advantage paid. Hawthorn win the clearance up inside 50. A nice centering ball here. Hardwick finds the lead of Wingard. And Chad Wingard marks 45 out directly in front. He plays on here. He lays into it from 48. Gives it plenty of distance. Right to the line. All the way for a goal. So Hawthorn have the first four. 4-1-25. The Swans are stunned. They're yet to score. 11 gone in the first quarter on Grandstand AFL. And by the way, Grant reminds me off the SMS, they are listening in News Radio through New South Wales and ACT. I won't plug the SMS number because we've got a few programs doing their own local programs right across the country, which gives us some idea of how two-bit sometimes it can be a little bit. But after this, we're off to the MCG, of course, all audiences for Essendon and Collingwood at the G for the Anzac Day blockbuster. The Hawks have the first 25 points here. Jay Schultz and Nathan Burke.
Inside 57-1 at this stage. They're just dominating all around the ground. As soon as there's a scrimmage, it's Hawthorn getting their hands on the ball first, and they've also got players running in support to get 1, 2, 3 handballs to get the ball out into space. So fantastic start by the Hawks.
Yeah, I think what we can see at the moment is the Hawks are running both ways a lot harder than Sydney are.
Laddams won the tap from the restart. Straight down to Mitchell, though, who was tackled, disposed of the ball. Goulden come through, took on Ward. Lloyd's kick was smothered by Nash. Newcomb goes after it with McInerney. Spills out to Paddy McCartan. Handball over the top, missed Goulden. Moore attempting to pounce on the loose footy. Good one-on-one battle. Goulden wins out, gets it up to a teammate in Cunningham. Kick around the corner to nobody in particular. Warple got there to it first, but it'll bounce off his shin. Out of bounds for a boundary throw-in right in front of the interchange benches. Hawthorn lead 4-1-25. An early avalanche from the Hawks. And they're home away from home. Sydney yet to score.
We got a thought from Nicole Bresnahan at some point the next few moments as well about what she's seeing from downstairs. Boundary perspective. Low bottom goes up here for the Swans. Swims it away. McLean, in fact it was Goulden, overruns it. Going in hard here for the Hawks, Connor Nash. Also a makeshift ruck, and now Goulden is slammed to the turf here in a big tackle. Balled up again. 4-1-25 the Hawks. The Swans still yet to score. Not even halfway through the opening quarter yet. Ball in the air. Nash competes with Laddams, lays it down here. It comes to Morrison, kicks across his body up towards half forward. Campbell juggles it here away. More for the Hawks, gets there. Hand pass into space. McDonald there for Hawthorn as well. Free kick. They want advantage paid. No, we'll come back here. It's going to be coming back to... no, nice try, Dylan Moore. He was awarded the free kick, trying to play on around Braden Campbell, but the umpire had to come back and reset him. He goes inside 50 here to find Gunston.
Too easy.
Chest mark in the pocket, 35 out.
Way too easy. He sat there and waited, and he just pushed off, came straight through, even though they had two other Sydney players either side of where he was leading.
Yeah. Chad Warner, I think it was, and Errol Goulden, they were back there blocking space, but they were watching the kicker. You've got to actually have your head on a swivel and say, right, Gunston's steaming up from behind me. I need to get in front of him. They just made a lovely little channel for him to lead into.
Gunston hits it from 40 out, and he misses near side. So another blemish here for the Hawks. 4-2-26. The Swans yet to score. 14 gone in the opening term. Nicole Bresnahan, what are you seeing from down there? It's all the Hawks so far.
Yeah, it sure is. A little bit slippery conditions here at ground level, as we've seen a few drop marks early. And interesting enough, it is Kennedy actually is the medical sub for the Swans today.
Second week in a row.
Heaney marks the kick in from Lloyd. It gets things moving immediately to Braden Campbell, who sends the Swans forward inside 50, but chopping off is James Sicily. He marks for the Hawks at true centre-half back. That's what he's done all year so far, James Sicily. Back in this Hawthorn team after a year off with injuries. Kicks a shocker, though. Picked out McInerney on the outer wing. Swans will go inside 50 once again. Hardwick gets across, lends support. Sicily will get there first for the Hawks. Bouncing ball, he can't trap it. Franklin comes in for the Swans. Hardwick took the footy. He's tackled. And it's all wrapped up deep in the Swans attacking 50.
Sometimes, like Josh Kennedy is a sub second week in a row. If they're managing someone, well, you sub them for a week. You don't sub them for 2 weeks. It's a real strange one.
Adams won it down straight to Warple, got it out to Newcombe, fed it to Nash, and now Josh Ward for the Hawks. His kick is a neat one up the line to McDonald. His fellow 2021 draftee. He has it at left half-back.
They're really trying to spread him here, get him to the other side of the ground, trying to open up the middle for him to use.
And they see ground going back to Scrimshaw in the left back pocket. Now a short kick finds Sicily. Sicily lays off the hand pass. And again they go. Scrimshaw up the line. Rowbottom comes across here. Wins at the ground here for Lloyd. Hand pass inboard for Paddy McCartan. Back to Jake Lloyd. Burns past one. Wastes the hand pass. It goes straight to Dylan Moore. Untidy as well. Further still, it's picked up by Newcombe. The Hawks might survive this one. He kicks on the angle and again finds the chest of Gunston. He is 75 from goal. He cops some afters here from Paddy McCartan.
That's weak umpiring, that.
He's still just 4 to the bullseye.
He tackled him after he marked the chest mark.
So Gunston off a step, gives it a roost up inside 50, wanting some separation down there. Bruce going in hard for the Hawks, winning it away. It's with McGuinness. Hand pass chopped off, and Florent can rebound here for the Swans.
So Florent kicked towards the outer wing, and Frost in best position, marks in front of Franklin for the Hawks. He handballed immediately onto Scrimshaw, who runs to 60 out tight angle. Will set it up to the top of the square. Kaczynski direction. McCartan got across. Calamity for the Swans. It fell into the lap of Kaczynski, who strolled on in on goal and kicked the Hawks fifth. 5-2-32 the Hawks. The Swans yet to score. It's a barrage of goals here in Launceston.
Paddy was trying to do the right thing, get back and help, but just ended up knocking his own teammate over.
His own brother?
Yeah, knocked his own brother over, and then Hawks boy was left standing on his own.
I hope Michael Wilson or someone down got their camera down here, because that was a great shot. There was 4 Swans players all laying on their stomachs on the ground, and Kaczynski just strolling into open goal, 2 metres out, putting it through. It's amazing.
10 inside 50s to 2.
Yep.
Then they're winning the tackles. So it's just all Hawks at the moment.
So Kaczynski's second goal of the afternoon, only very early. Only 17 minutes played. So just a warning here for the Swans. I imagine a 6-6-6 warning. McLean contests the ruck here against Nash, as it's one down here, almost overrun by Josh Ward. Ball comes free. Warner tackled, dispossessed, waiting for it to come loose. The umpire lets them play for a moment. Now we'll ball it up just on Josh Kennedy. He's played a more, low-key role down a half-back for much of this season so far, but even more low-key today, being the sub for the second week in a row, as we mentioned. Hawks by 32.
Out of the stoppage, O'Meara fed the handball to Morrison. Coming past was Day, had to get rid of it, just got his kick away, evaded the tackle, bouncing ball. Warple on the broadcast wing, shared it with Newcombe. Right football towards half-court, Gunston direction. He was held in the contest by Rampy. He'll get a free kick, too far out to score. Jack Gunston, prominent early, the Hawks veteran. He'll set it up to a dangerous position for the Hawks. Kaczynski direction, best placed at the back, couldn't take the mark. Heaney roved the crumb. Blakey fighting hard, handball found Campbell. He released Ronk, and the Swans will clear defensive 50 as Haywood marks on his chest at right half back.
Nice kick from Ronk. The Swans are still a long way from home. Haywood just settles things down for a moment. Almost all the play between the arcs on the eastern wing here at York Park. It's come inboard to Campbell. The back point of the square. Braden Campbell, the left footer. Wheels on now. Up the outer side. 3-on-2 up in front. Franklin second one. Won't reel it in. Parker picks up here. Tumbles a loose kick inside 50. It's been picked off by Morrison. The Hawks can rebound now. McDonald spills a mark here. Warner tries to swoop. Help from Paddy McCartan. Run down from behind. Got the hand pass away though. Picked up by Ronk off the Mills. Flying shot from 45. And the Swans are on the board. Callum Mills, the league's youngest captain, delivers here for the Sydney Swans, and didn't they need that? It's still Hawthorn 5-2-32. Sydney 1 straight 6 at last. As we approach time on the opening quarter on ABC Sport, you're with Grandstand AFL.
That was purely just a skill error as well. It was an easy drop mark. So Sydney are lucky to get that one, but they definitely needed it. Hawks still, they look like they're running and spreading them all over. As we watch the ball move down the ground, back and going into the Sydney's end, you can still see Hawthorn players are all in front of their Sydney Swans players. So they're working a lot harder by the looks of it.
Hawthorn lead 5-2-32. The Swans on the board though, one straight 6. 26 points the margin here in Launceston. Back in the middle we go. McLean won it down. Heaney injected into the midfield, but O'Meara's all over him. Umpire says he dragged it in, and it'll be a Hawthorn free kick, middle of the ground. O'Meara thinks about going laterally to Morrison. He's still on if he wants him. He's going to go a little longer. Inside 50 go the Hawks once again. Kazitsky at the back. It fell into the arms of Lynch, who got the handball to McDonald. Shares it with Morrison. Bruce around the corner. Top of the goal square. He didn't get the purchase he desired, and it's knocked through for a minor score. Hawthorn 5-3-33, Sydney one straight 6.
Interesting, he went the snap around the corner then. Probably had time to straighten up and kick almost a drop punt.
Yeah, absolutely. He did. Probably a lot more time than what he thought.
From a kick out, Lloyd to Cunningham. Still inside defensive 50, City end here at York Park. Nice crowd in, Anzac Day footy. Beyond defensive 50. Converge on the outer side. At the drop, wrong. Puts the tackle there on Impey. Ball comes free. Still bubbles around now. Going in hard, Goulden. Wins it away here. It's with McDonald. Now the hurried kick from Parker across the field now for Campbell. On that preferred left side. Has Franklin leading up the ground. Got a push from behind from Frost and will be ordered the free kick accordingly. Either a push or a chop. Take your pick. It's the same result. Sydney free kick with Franklin and Sam Frost just arguing the point there with the umpire. Be very careful, Sam. Franklin will go back here, 55 out, an angle slightly better than 45 degrees. So Lance Franklin, back from that broken finger, only missed a week in the end. Was he just having a blood? Yeah, just having a look there, the umpire at Sam Frost. He stands the mark as Franklin's on the approach. We're right in line behind him on his natural arc. Nothing natural about that kick. It's gone all the way through the left-hand side for a minor score. Sydney 1-1-7, trailing Hawthorn, who are 5-3-33. 22 minutes played here at York Park in the first quarter.
Sicily brings it in, finds Hardwick in the left back pocket. He marks right in front of the scoreboard. Back to Sicily, still inside defensive 50, the Hawks. Sicily will look to come across the ground. It's a dangerous old kick. McInerney chopped it off for the Swans. And another chance here for Sydney. McInerney marks 60 metres out from goal. He doesn't have the leg of Lance Franklin, but he is sizing them up.
It's a bit of arrogance there by Sicily. He didn't need to make that kick. He had a safer kick out wide.
McInerney elects to just pop it to the top of the square, but it's all Hawthorn getting back, and Finn McGuinness takes the relieving mark in defence.
McGuinness wide beyond offensive 50. Rampy comes late to Warple and makes a spoil. Off hands for a throw-in, 60 around from Sydney's goal in front of the scoreboard. I do love the Tassie catering. We've both had our food delivered for half-time or quarter-time, and it's oysters and Easter eggs. We're a week late, but I'll allow it. Back in it comes here with the Hawks leading by 26 points as hand pass comes away here from McGuinness. Loose footy on the wing, bounce toward the line. Parker dispossessed. Mills goes in hard. Blakey comes back inboard now. The unmarked man Warner was run down from behind. Didn't hear the footsteps of Bruce. Great work by him. Loose footy picked up by Tom Mitchell. They can get away here. O'Meara under pressure from Campbell. Back edge of the square. Blakey comes through again. He's wrapped up and the umpire says, give it to me. We'll ball it up in the middle of York Park where Hawthorn leads 5-3 to 1-1. 24 goal in opening quarter.
Swans have put Heaney behind the ball in their defensive 50 just to make sure this lead doesn't blow out before quarter time.
Swans free kick out of the stoppage. You sense the Swans are starting to find their groove. They go inside 50 again. Franklin, best place, took it on the second bite. He worked Frost off the footy and falling to the ground. Franklin took the mark. Second bite of the cherry. He'll kick for goal directly in front, 45 metres out.
Does that quite a bit, buddy. He's always done it really well. He never takes his eyes off the ball. He always can grab a second. Because he's so tall and he's got such long arms, he's always the first one with his hands to the ball.
Lance Franklin, man who's kicked one or two in his time, makes his approach, crosses the paint of 50, sends it on its way, and it's a goal. Swans have their second, Buddy has his first, and it's two in a row Sydney. Hawthorn 5-3-33, Sydney 2-1-13, 24.5 gone first term, Grandstand AFL.
That double grab you mentioned, Jay, I was talking to the ex-outstanding fullback for the Western Bulldogs, Dale Morris, and he actually would prepare to spoil the second touch. So the first one, Buddy would never grab one grab. He'd always sort of bounce it up in the air and then take it somewhere. So he just put pressure on the first one and then spoil that second one coming in, because it was something that he did really, really often. It's smart play by Dale Morris, who always had a really good record against Buddy. But in terms of this game, 5-2 is a far better outlook than 5-0 as it was a short time ago.
Back in the middle, on the bounce, picked up by Parker. Hand pass to Goulden. Kicks on the angle now. It's a low ball for Ronk. He picks up now, gathers off to Florent by hand, and now Florent can kick out to the flank. It was wide but well judged. Hitting there Mcdonald for the Swans.
They're winning some clearances now, the Swans.
Still 70 from goal. One good kick away. Deep to the pocket he goes. Spoiled down there from Connor Nash. Loose footy gathered in defence. Newcomb involved. Scrimshaw out of trouble. Gets the hand pass back here for Frost. They'll switch now. Tom Mitchell across the last line can come wide now for Dylan Moore. In the right back pocket. Runs beyond defensive 50. Hand pass with Impey. Little 1-2. Gets it back now. Kick will work out okay for Lynch, who crashes in and marks at right half back just behind the wing for the Hawks. They lead by 20 points late in this first term.
Max Lynch, the big ruckman back in the team today, has it back of a wing for the Hawks. Will go up the line. He kicked it like a big ruckman too. It'll just find hands and be knocked out for a boundary throw-in. It was Moore and Bell contesting the marking contest. 5-3-33, Hawthorn lead by 22, 1-13 the Swans. Deep into the first term here. We'll go down to the boundary very shortly when Nicole Bresnahan is for us here on Grandstand AFL. Mitchell wins it off the stoppage, gave it to Impey, who ran into trouble. James Rowbottom got him. He's pinged for holding the ball, so I think it's starting to go Sydney's way here. He'll be called back behind the mark, will Rowbottom.
Any relation?
No relation that I know of.
Okay.
I might have to hit him up. Inside 50 go the Swans, but Rowbottom picks out Max Lynch in defence for the Hawks.
No relation, especially now. Not for that kick. Frost. Beyond defensive 50 they go, and it's a wide ball here for Will Day. He can come back inboard. Tom Mitchell getting busy now, but momentum with the Swans.
Possession number 10 for Mitchell.
Get away, Scrimshaw stops, props, retreats all the way back inside forward 50 for Granger Barras. Young West Aussie in his second season goes further afield here to Frost. He's the furthermost defensive player on the ground. I'll chip it around their defensive 50. It's with Scrimshaw. And now a short kick up the line for Nash. Still behind the wing. Granger Barras, in fact Newcomb this time out to greet it. It's a slow, considered approach here for the Hawks on the western side of York Park. 5-3 plays 2-1. He kicks for distance here. Newcomb up the line. Kaczynski gets set early. Spoil from behind. Paddy McCartan rolls off his knuckles down the Warple inside forward 50 here for the Hawks. Wingard, second bite. Great grab. He plays on quickly. Centering ball to find a much neater angle, and taking the mark there is Finn McGuinness. He's 35 out directly in front.
It was a great mark by Chatty. He held his eyes on the ball. It was the same as what Buddy did down the other end. So, and then spotted up a man free directly in front.
We're approaching quarter time here at York Park. Get to Nicole Bresnahan after this. Is McGuinness on the approach. He connects from 35 and he's shanked that to the left hand side. Not sure how he missed that. Hawthorn 5-4-34, Sydney 2-1-13. Nicole Bresnahan on the boundary.
Yeah, we just had Callum Mills from the Swans come off. He was in the hands of the trainers for a couple of minutes there. He's got some quite heavy strapping on that right quad at the moment, but he looks to go back on, so I'll keep an eye on him.
One to keep an eye on, one of the Swans' prime movers. The kick in from Blakey was a good one to Heaney's in the middle of the ground. Blakey kept running and now has it in the middle of York Park. Kick inside 50. Couldn't find a target. Offhand Scrimshaw. Day came through, gave it to Newcomb. Fed the handball out to green grass. Was looking for Impey. Franklin pounced on it. Retreated by hand back to Goulden. His kick's a shocker though. He picks out Frost for the Hawks, who marks inside defensive 50.
So Frost now at his third club. It's his third year as a Hawk.
He's done that well all year. He's their number one intercept marker.
A switch from right to left. O'Meara marks in the pocket in front of the scoreboard. Now he'll come back for Scrimshaw and wide further afield to Sicily in his 99th AFL game this afternoon. Oh, his kick is a shocker as well. Out of bounds on the full, trying to find Impey, who had to lunge to his left. Franklin gets there first, takes the kick in, or the free kick for the Swans. Inboard now for Parker. He's 55 out, sets it up high to the teeth of goal. They want to find that target down there in McLean. Can he get separation at the drop? Rove well by Mitchell. They can clear again the Hawks through Frost.
His kick's out of bounds on the full.
Deliberate.
He's called it deliberate. I thought it cleared the line, but it's been called insufficient intent.
When you are right next to the boundary line, you should be able to kick the ball along the boundary line. If that bounces to the right, no problem. Bounces to the left, it's a free kick.
She's an odd-shaped ball. It does bounce all over the place.
We are talking about Sam Frost. So the Swans will have it through Ollie Florent, tight up against the boundary, 45 metres out from goal. He sends it goalward. The Bronx cheers tell the story. He misses to the near side. Minus score for the Swans. Hawthorn 5-4-34. Sydney 2-2-14.
Didn't Heath Shaw offer to sort of take the mantle over to Sam Frost as far as most out of bounds on the falls from defence? Something he had some fun with a couple of years ago. Beyond defensive 50 they go. Up goes Lynch. Down there for Goulden of the Swans. Shares it with Warner. Hand pass back to Goulden. Still running. Closest to 45. On the run. Nice finish as well. Oh, Errol. His 5th goal of the season right on the quarter-time siren. And precious momentum for the Sydney Swans, who have come from 32 points down. They've kicked the last 3 goals of the first quarter, and it's only 14 points now in Hawthorn's favour. 5-4-34. The Swans are 3-2-20. Goal kickers in this game so far. Already 2 for Jacob Kaczynski of the Hawks. Singles for Dylan Moore, Jack Gunston and Chad Wingard. Meanwhile, for the Swans, Mills, Franklin and Goulden all on the board in the first half hour or so here at York Park. It's Hawthorn by 14 points on ABC Radio, News Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
It's official. We'll be off to the polls this May.
Hi, Sabra Lane here. I'm the presenter of AM. I'm also a political tragic. Most interesting thing about the campaign trail is the razzmatazz and how the politicians cope with meeting everyday Australians and explaining their policies. That's what I love about campaigns.
Get accurate, impartial information on your ABC radio or head to abc.net.au/Australia Votes. Election news that matters to you on the ABC.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Kaczynski took it on the bounce, didn't claim the mark, went low in Gunston and he got a push in the back, and he'll kick for goal from 15 metres out for the Hawks' first of the afternoon. No angle to speak of. So Jack Gunston lines up. Around the body, no problems. Gunston has the first of the afternoon. Mitchell gave it to Newcomb, who's got a man streaming inside 50 all on his own. Dylan Moore will take it on the chest and kick the easiest of goals for the Hawks. 3 in a row, Hawthorn. And they're off to an absolute flyer in Launceston.
Hawthorn win the clearance up inside 50. A nice centering ball here. Hardwick finds the lead at Wingard. And Chad Wingard marks 45 out directly in front. He plays on here. He lays into it from 48, gives it plenty of distance, right to the line, all the way for a goal. So Hawthorn have the first 4.
We set it up to the top of the square. Kaczynski direction. McCart forgot to cross. Calamity for the Swans. It fell into the lap of Kaczynski, who strolled on in on goal and kicked the Hawks 5th.
Picked up by Ron off the Mills. Flying shot from 45, and the Swans are on the board. Callum Mills, the league's youngest captain, delivers here for the Sydney Swans, and didn't they need that?
Since the Swans are starting to find their groove, they go inside 50 again. Franklin, best place, took it on the second bite. He'll kick for goal directly in front, 45 metres out. Makes his approach, crosses the paint of 50, sends it on its way, and it's a goal. Swans have their second, Buddy has his first, and it's 2 in a row, Sydney.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Great to have your company on Anzac Day here at York Park in Launceston. An explosive start for Hawthorn with the first 5 goals of the game, and Sydney hitting back with 3 in a row before the quarter-time siren. It's Hawthorn 5-4-34. The Swans are 3-2-20. Helping us make sense of things on Grandstand AFL. Our experts, Nathan Burke and Jay Schultz.
Yeah, I think they sort of weathered the storm a little bit there, Sydney, at the start. Hawthorn definitely got the jump on them, and, as we'd expect Sydney to do, who are a quality side, they fought their way back in. They started to level up things a bit. I think early on it was sort of 10-2 inside 50s, and then it's ended up being 13-12. So they managed to wrestle the game back in their favour towards the end of the quarter, and there's only 14 points in it now.
The problem with being 5 goals up so early in the game is that it's so early in the game. And against a good team like Sydney, they're always going to come back into it. They really tightened up their work around the clearances, started to get their hand on the ball first. Initially, Hawthorn were able to take the ball from one end to the other pretty much unopposed. So Sydney started to get their defensive structures a little bit better organised across the ground. So Hawthorn had to go backwards and sideways a lot more than what they did in the first half of that quarter. Inside 50s ended up being 13-12 in favour of the Hawks, but they evened those up, especially late in the quarter. Tackles 16-12, whereas initially I think it was about 10-1. So they really lifted that effort as well. So for the Hawks, they need to keep taking this game on, because when they allow Sydney to get numbers behind the ball, they're very hard to get through because they're well disciplined, well structured. So off the half back line, instead of going sidewards like they were, they need to keep going forwards, get the ball inside 50 really, really quickly. Wing guards look lively, Kazitsky's look lively. Mitchell's had 12 possessions. Franklin's had 7 possessions. He's only going at 40% efficiency at the moment, but he's getting his hands on the ball pretty well. And for the Swans, once they decided to get their hands dirty, to play a game of football, to play physical, they've got themselves back into the game. So for John Longmire, that's my message. You boys need to get dirty against the Hawks, and then you'll stay in the game.
Yeah, I think Dane Rampy only having 2 touches in that opening quarter is probably light on for him. I'd expect they'd be trying to get the ball in his hands and looking at him to get the running game going as well.
I've heard a few numbers mentioned by Berkey. A couple of other quick ones, Chris Rowbottom.
Yeah, so Sam Mitchell. Tom Mitchell has 12 disposals for the Hawks. Scrimshaw 11, Newcomb 10 for the Swans. Franklin, the leading ball winner for the visitors, with 7. Goulden has 7, and Lloyd also has 7.
We've got Nicole Bresnahan boundary side for us as well. We'll get down to her shortly, some stage really in this second term. Hawthorn by 14 points. Second quarter underway here at a packed York Park in Launceston on Anzac Day. Lynch and Laddams again go at it. Comes down to McInerney. He's dispossessed. Lynch goes in hard. Now a free kick for a hold will go Sydney's way. So it's with McInerney. On the 45, it's wide now for Callum Mills. So no signs of discomfort, as we saw earlier in that first term, as Nicole mentioned. Up inside forward 50 here. Frost hit the deck, allows Franklin to come across. What happened there? We didn't see it, but Franklin takes a clean mark and he's 35 out directly in front.
Yeah, basically Frost went into the back of Franklin to try and put a bit of pressure on him. Lance just stood still and Frost bounced off and landed on the ground and enabled Franklin to take an uncontested mark.
Now we know that this place has happy memories for Lance when he was a Hawk. He's got 1 goal this afternoon. Here he is lining up for number 2 to the city end, and he has missed it to the left-hand side. So it would have been ideal for the Swans in this second term, but it's now 3-21 Sydney, trailing Hawthorn 5-4-34. Minute and a bit gone in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
13 points the margin. Hardwick now to full back for the Hawks, kicks into the middle of the ground. Lynch got up, couldn't take the mark. O'Meara at the forwards, taken away by McCartan. His handball was good to Bell. He missed Franklin with the handball. It's picked off by Sicily. Gave it to Morrison, who arches the back and just twists Franklin out of his boots. Kicks up the line now, and it's a good defensive mark taken by Paddy McCartan. Back of the wing. There's a free kick, though.
He played a shepherd in that marking contest.
So one umpire had the same view. He paid a mark. The other one, slightly different angle, same view, paid a block.
Hawks come up with it. Jack Gunston.
Get on the same page, you blokes.
On the outer wing, kicks inboard. Short ball is good to Scrimshaw. He assesses his options as the players from both teams flood back. He goes inside 50 for the Hawks. Pack will form. Getting to the front was Tom McCartan, taking a strong defensive mark for the Swans.
Tom McCartan looks at the options. We come across the goal mouth now for Jake Lloyd in the right back pocket. Works a hand pass forward. Here's Blakey running by and now kicks for distance up the commentary side. Heaney outnumbered this occasion, coming in late to just knock it over the boundary line for a throw, and it was nice work by the Hawks, and that was Denver Granger Barras. Let's head boundary side. Nicole Bresnahan.
Yeah, John Lonmite, interesting coaching from the bench for the first and the second term, but also Tom Mitchell starting off for the second term as well.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. Throw it back in. Hawthorn leads by 13 points here. Lynch to the front. Mills couldn't reel it in. The Hawks, Nash gathers, goes into the back of Mills. That will be a free kick going the Swans' way.
So Mills, centre wing, broadcast side. He'll kick to right half forward for the Swans. Heaney lost his man and Impey, couldn't complete the mark, but there's front-on contact. Advantage is called. Warner went on with it, but getting across, taking a really good mark in front of McLean was Scrimshaw for the Hawks, and he finds a teammate in the right back pocket in Morrison. He sees something he likes in the middle of the ground. Dicey old kick in the O'Meara direction. Swans come up with it through Ronk. Tumbler inside 50. Frost almost spilled a chest mark. Eventually took it on the third bite. Decided to take on Franklin. He does just that and kicks beyond defensive 50 to Max Lynch, who marks back of a wing. His kick is a pretty good one to O'Meara, running back into the path of Kazitsky. Friendly fire, and that could have been very, very dangerous.
It's Kazitsky's fault. He's got to call a player back. He can see what's happening in front of him. O'Meara can't see what's behind him, so he has to go backwards.
Ball spills out of bounds. It'll be thrown back in by the umpire. Lynch will contest the ruck with Laddams, who won it over the back. Mills might have been held by O'Meara. He was. Advantage is called, and the Swans will go through the middle of the ground.
On the bounce, it sets up Hayward. Oh, unkind bounce in the end. Hayward's wrapped up by Warple. Ball comes free for Scrimshaw. Hawthorn go forward of halfway again. Inside 50. Back with the flight. Courage from Paddy McCartan, who's down for all money. Wingard hand pass off to Gunston. Will come back here for a holding the ball decision. So Cunningham put a tackle down there on Conor Mcdonald, and it was a Sydney free kick. It was sort of in amongst all of that, while Kazitsky's still down as well, having been involved in that last bit of contact, as well as that friendly foul with O'Meara a short time ago. Meantime, the Swans move it off half-back. Lloyd's kick up the line for Franklin. He spills it. It's down there for Hardwick. Hand pass, Warple. Hawthorn get it back. Tumbling kick inside 50. Paddy McCartan's to his feet. She has a hand pass to Rampy. He's wrapped up, dispossessed. It comes free now. Swans defence under pressure. Wingard goes in hard from the side. Paddy McCartan was stationary. We're winning it away here. Conor McDonald comes away across his body and finishes from 35 out. So Conor McDonald has it's the third goal of his career, and the Hawthorn Hawks get one back. 6-4-40. Sydney 3-3-21. 5.5 played second term. Grandstand AFL.
It was just great effort and pressure from Chatty Wingard to, I guess, not let him have the easy out, and while he waited for the cavalry to come and help him out, and it's just ended it. That's just a forward pressure goal. It's just great work.
So Hawthorn get a steadier, back out to a 19-point buffer. Conor McDonald played every game after debuting in round one for the Hawks this year. This new generation of Hawthorn players coming through under Sam Mitchell, and he adds another goal to his tally with a classy finish. 6-4-40 the Hawks lead the Swans 3-3-21. On a crisp Launceston Anzac Day afternoon, back in the middle we go. Lynch and Laddams compete. Laddams won it down. Ward came through for the Hawks, hands and knees. Laddams over the top of him. It spills out towards Morrison and McInerney. Morrison gathered the footy. He was tackled by McInerney. Got it out to Mitchell. He was tackled by Mills. Ground ball won by Cunningham. Hawks converge. Out the back was Mills, who got it to Campbell. Left foot ball is a little wobbly. It'll eventually find its way to Rowbottom, who broke the Warple tackle, got the handball off to Cunningham, and the Swans will come back inboard via Parker, and they have it in the middle of the ground.
Rowbottom almost troubled. This time gets a kick away, though. Florent under pressure. Hand pass off to Warner, running by McInerney. His kick was low and affected by the tackle. Frost spills a mark on the last line. Franklin provides some pressure as well. Out it comes. Hardwick under pressure, then the goal line. Opts to keep it alive and shares a neat little ball here for Finn McGuinness. Left full back here, the Hawks. They survive at least that. We'll go downstairs very shortly. McGuinness goes long beyond defensive 50. Up Lynch, couldn't pull it down. Warner for the Swans, gets there now, shrugs the tackle, hand pass, McInerney off to Rowbottom. No real options here. McLean, 25 out, will snap. It was untidy, but it bounces through for a goal. The Swans get one back. 4-3-27. They trail Hawthorn 6-4-40, so the margin back to 13. 8 minutes played, second quarter. Nicole Bresnahan on the boundary.
Yeah, Kadisi just in the hands of the doctors at the moment. Just after that clash with McCartan. Looks to be relatively okay. Hopefully for Hawks fans, he's back on soon.
Well, that's one goal each in a really scrappy way. The Hawks got one purely through forward pressure, and the Swans went down the other end and did exactly the same. Now, I don't brag for Hawthorn, but I have my heart in my mouth every time Frost and Sicily go near the footy. I don't know what they're going to do. I can't imagine if you were a Hawthorn fan actually watching the ball come. It was Frost who dropped a pretty simple low-down chest mark in the end, which kept the ball in the area. But boy, oh boy, they can make some blues as well as do some good stuff, those two.
Yeah, well, I think he surprises himself sometimes being in the right spot at the right time as well, Frosty. So he's super quick, which is why he plays well on Buddy.
Swans will go inside 50 again from the restart via the boot of Laddams. Scrimshaw missed it. Granger Barras got the handball up to Frost, who might have... Oh, no, he was potentially... No, it was Granger Barras who was held without it. His kick clears defensive 50, but it's all Sydney. It'll come back in via McInerney. Mark was dropped by McLean. Shared it with a teammate. It'll come out to Mills. Flying shot on goal from right on 50. Hits the left-hand behind post. No score.
Yeah, the distance, no problem there. It hit the point post 3/4 of the way up. But there were some players pretty much free inside that forward 50, but he chose to have a ping from outside 50.
They've really turned the inside 50s around now, as well as Sydney. They're up 19-16.
Voice of Jay Schultz and Nathan Burke, our experts on Grandstand AFL, as Scrimshaw goes beyond defensive 50. Laddams and Lynch make a contest. At the drop, loose footy comes out for Mills, shrugs the tackle here. It's going to be too high that time, the effort from Will Day. So Swans go back inside forward 50. McLean outnumbered, tries the one-hander. Franklin's out the back, he can't reach it either. They pile in from all angles, and the umpire says that ball up top of the goal square.
There was an arm that came out when he was on the ground and sort of like a big crane just sort of dragged it back in, but the umpire was on the other side of the pack and missed it.
Granger Barras perhaps a little lucky not to have deemed to have dragged it in. He's flying shot on goal. Daniel Wellstyle from Laddams. He missed the ball. O'Meara wraps him up.
It's fair he can go on Daniel Wellstyle out of the ruck.
Big fella's got to know his limitations, I think.
Up it goes again. Another ball up. Lynch wins it down. O'Meara just patted it forward directly into the path of McLean. He's wrapped up by Granger Barras. It comes back out to O'Meara. Clears defensive 50. Big fly from Dylan Moore. Takes the mark at half back. Plays on immediately. Uses Josh Ward. He links up with Morrison, who takes a gallop down the outer wing. Moore continued his run. Little kick inside 50. Was ill-directed. Blakey took a strong defensive mark in front of McDonald. Swans have it inside their defensive 50.
It's that last entry, that last kick, it's just been so poor from both sides, hasn't it, Berkey?
Yeah, and great positioning there by Blakey. He knew where the guy who's had 3 bounces, where most likely he's going to kick the ball. He just parked himself.
Haywood for the Swans up the line, and his kick's intercepted here by Will Day. So Hawthorn start again from right half back. Cross the line here for Sicily. And he can retreat here for Hardwick. Makes him work.
His
untidy kick on the bounce. Hardwick goes wide now for Finn McGuinness, the third generation Hawk, and he kicks out on the full. Deary me, skill level has been really nowhere. You called it, Berkey, pre-game, by the way, but at least the scoreline is fairly tight. 13 points Hawthorn's way, 6-4 plays 4-3, 12 gone second term here on ABC Sport. This is Grandstand AFL.
Decision-making also matching the lack of kicking skills. McGuinness had a very touched O'Meara, who he elected not to kick to anyway from the restart. Goulden won it up to Parker, shares it with Lloyd. He's on centre wing, broadcast side. Kicks towards half forward for the Swans. Sicily worked his way in front. Taken by Campbell off the pack, who got it to Ronk. Kick inboard is a beauty. He'll find Haywood at centre half forward. He'll go further inside 50 in the Franklin direction. 2 Hawks to contend with. Frost just worked him underneath it. Morrison tracks it towards the boundary. It'll elude him over the line, though, for a boundary throw-in in the left forward pocket for the Swans, who trail by 13. 6-4-40 the Hawks. Sydney 4-3-27. Boundary throw-in. 20 metres around from the left-hand behind post for the Swans. In it comes. Laddams won it down directly into the path of Rowbottom. Flying shot on goal. He misses to the near side for a minus score.
They're really starting to put the Hawks under the pump at the moment. They've had the ball down their front of the half for a good portion of this quarter. And they're starting to turn all the stats around as well. They're getting on top in the clearances. They're getting top in inside 50s. They've just got to put it on the board.
Sicily thumps it long from the kick out. Lynch takes a towering mark on the outer wing. They stream forward in brown and gold jumpers. Lynch looks at the options, stops to go by hand after he shaped a kick. Day running by from the outer logo. Wobbly kick inside forward 50. Goes Tom and Paddy McCartan again, spoiling each other. Gunston spins through a tackle of Rowbottom. Hand pass out the back, picked up by Parker of the Swans. His kick is hurried one, straight down the throat of Granger Barras. He loads up inside forward 50 here for Hawthorn. At the drop there, Campbell competes with Wingard. Still alive here for the Hawks. Tackle that time. Great work from Florin. It comes to the boundary line where Campbell plays tackler as well, this time on Will Day, and will throw it back in. In fact, it was McGuinness, 20 around from that left behind post at the Invermay Park end here at York Park. 12 points is the Hawthorn lead, 13.5 played second term.
Boundary throw in, Hawks in attack, Laddams and Lynch down to Parker. Fed the handball to McInerney. He's got Hayward middle of the ground. Had to contend with Morrison. Did well not to concede a free kick. Gathered the footy. He was tackled. Hands and knees now. Newcomb, middle of the ground. Will have a stoppage. Ball up. Good contested footy. Good contest unfolding here in Launceston. Swans and the Hawks. ABC Sport. The Grandstand AFL. Newcomb off the ruck tap. It'll be all held up for another stoppage. Ball up just in Hawthorn's attacking zone. Warner read it best. Kicked straight up and under. Big fist came. Warner will get another chance. Handball now to Lloyd, who come off the back of the square. Tumbler towards right half forward for the Swans. Scrimshaw got across and knocked it out of bounds. We'll have a boundary throw in right in front of the commentary position at right half forward for the Swans.
Having a good game, Scrimshaw. He's up to 15 possessions, which is the most on the ground, with Mitchell 13 and Luke Parker, no surprise, on 11.
Hawthorn by 12 points here. 40 plays 28. Halfway through this second term or thereabouts. Heaney to hand pass to Mills. They win the clearance here. Wobbly kick high in the air. McLean, there's the one-hander. Hand pass off to Rowbottom from the pocket. Centering ball for Franklin, who was outnumbered. It'll bounce here for Morrison. Hand pass off to Frost running by. It was picked up cleanly here by the Hawthorn defence. They can bring it away. Goulden was chasing this time more, but he brings it away quickly. Little 1-2 hand pass. Now a kick up the eastern wing. It skids there for Bruce. Still running here, Connor Nash receives it now. Neat entry, goes high inside forward 50, finds Mitchell, who plays on tumbles and misses. Tommy Mitchell had all the time in the world, and he misses to the right-hand side. Hawthorn 6-5-41, Sydney 4-4-28.
Jay Schultz, goal-kicking coach, would like your thoughts, please.
Off the long run. Stop and go back and have a shot, mate.
Clearing ball for the Swans now beyond defensive 50. Just forward of a wing for the Hawks. Warple will get the loose footy first. He's tackled and tackled well by Florin. Got the handball out eventually. Nash on hands and knees. Out today. It came out through Sydney hands. Hayward couldn't trap it. It fell to Hardwick eventually. His handball over the top to Sicily, who had to go and get it. He went to Ward. He had to take on McLean, and eventually it bobbles up into the hands of Mills, who's got a man in Logan McDonald running forward. Got it over the top to him. Centering ball inside 50. It's Franklin who marks in front of Frost.
That was so smart by both kicker and leader. Like Buddy saw where the space was. He knew he had two guys on him. As soon as one of their turned their back to him, he just stopped and came straight back in the middle, and that was a beautiful kick inside. It was well weighted and to his space.
It was smart. Buddy had the man 3 metres in front of him and 3 metres behind him. They were expecting a lead forward or back. He just shot out to the side. One of them has to stay on him. One can cover space. The other one's got to be touch.
Franklin will kick from just inside 50. No real angle to speak of for his second of the afternoon. He lets fly. Does Franklin? Umpire just shifts to his right. Signals a minor score. That's 1-3 for Lance Franklin so far this afternoon. Hawthorn 6-5-41. Sydney 4-5-29. 16.5 gone. Second term for Grandstand AFL.
Like the 1-3 he had several years ago. The 13, it's different this time. 1-3, not quite the same sort of result anyway. Hawthorn by 12 points, as you heard there from Chris Rowbottom. Granger Barras beyond defensive 50 for the Hawks. McLean up with Nash on the wing. Blakey bursts through. Hand pass off to Jake Lloyd. McLean wrapped up by Nash. Ball and all. Huge tackle. The umpire says, yep, holding the ball. Nice effort from the Irishman, who's had a big role in Ben McAvoy's absence. So Connor Nash goes back inside defensive 50 for Sam Frost. They might look to switch here. Frost comes back to Granger Barras. The Hawks at left half back.
Granger Barras, a first round draft pick, goes inboard to Warple. He's got something he likes on the outer side of the ground. Hardwick awaits, takes the footy. He's got Will Day a little further afield. Uses him inside 50. Now go the Hawks. 1-on-1 between Bruce and Rampy, and Rampy won the day. Worked him beautifully underneath the footy and took the chest mark. He's done that once or twice in his career, Dane Rampy. It gets things moving for the Swans up towards the outer wing. McDonald couldn't reel it in. Hardwick at ground level. He couldn't win a possession. McDonald went and got it again. McInerney now for the Swans. Right foot ball is misdirected. He picks out Frost, who marks at right half back for the Hawks.
Just a short kick back to Sicily at centre half back. They'll switch coming left hand side. Finn McGuinness has plenty of space to work in. Options up the line, and on the wing he finds the chest of Conor Mcdonald in front of the benches. Western wing here at York Park. He's called to play on now. Spies something at half forward, 2-on-2. Mills kept his feet planted, takes the mark. The Swans can rebound. Here's Parker, his fellow Swans captain. She has it off back to Mills, who kept running. Raking ball inside forward 50 in the contest down there. Ronk and the better of him, Sicily. Sicily here takes the mark, and they'll go again here, the Hawks.
Good defensive mark, Sicily, who uses Day at right half back. He goes short. He's put it onto the shoelaces of Josh Ward, who couldn't trap it cleanly. Went up to Moore eventually, but he was held without it. And the Hawks will get out of jail there because Florent was running away with pace through the middle of the ground and eyeing a target inside 50. Inside go the Hawks now. Hardwick marks. He's in the middle of the ground. He goes towards right half forward. Inside 50 go the Hawks. Getting in front was McCartan of the Paddy variety. He spilt the beans though. Out to Bruce now. Chance for the Hawks. Tom Mitchell's left foot kick. He stubbed his toe as he attempted to kick the shot on goal. All's well that ends well for the Hawks, because it fell out to Luke Bruce, who made a Tom Mitchell mistake look okay. He kicks the goal for the Hawks. And Luke Bruce kicks his first of the afternoon. 7:5:47 Hawthorn, Sydney 4:5:29. A tick over 20 minutes gone, second term, Grandstand AFL.
The last 5 minutes, Jay, hasn't been pretty football, to be totally honest.
It's been a bit of ping pong, hasn't it? It's just been going through the middle of the ground, turnover, middle of the ground, turnover. So, and I sort of feel like they got that one a little bit against the flow. I think Sydney had sort of had the majority of play for this quarter, and they've managed to sneak one in. So it's, yeah, like you said, it hasn't been real pretty the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Thoughts of Nathan Burke and Jay Schultz on Grandstand AFL.
It's important for the Hawks. Sorry, just say it's important for the Hawks though to keep that 3-goal buffer. Yeah. They started off with 5-0. They can't let the Swans get their nose in front.
Bit of time on here, quarter number 2. Off to the Bombers and the Pies later on as O'Meara's kick tumbles towards half forward. Will come back here for a free kick. He copped a shove after the fact. So free kick for O'Meara. Lays it off by hand, Scrimshaw. 60 out from goal. Kick partly smothered by Luke Parker. This is down here to Conor McDonald. Now Scrimshaw goes again. Low ball inside forward 50. Spinning away here. Ward's dropped it. Towed away by Parker. It's going to be a Sydney free kick. The tackler rewarded, Luke Parker, who, as well as winning his own footy, it's good for a pressure act or two as well. He comes wide to Paddy McCartan at right half back here for the Sydney Swans. It's Hawthorn who leads by 18 points. McCartan's kick up the line here with the fingertips of Heaney. Getting to it though, Ronk. He's in space. Loads up inside 50. Franklin v Frost here at full forward. Franklin gets loose here. Sockers towards goal. Misses to the right-hand side. And that's going to be 1-4 for Lance Franklin this afternoon. Hawthorn, by the way, 7:5:47. The Swans 4:6:30. 22 gone second term.
It was really well done by Frost. He was caught. He was in front of Buddy. Buddy had the space behind. The long kick came in, and Frosty just ran straight at him and made contact. caused enough, issues with Buddy. Buddy tried to kick it off the ground and no good.
Mitchell marks the day kick in. He goes short to Newcombe. Hawks yet to clear defensive 50. Newcombe just scans the field ahead and eventually picks out a target in Conor Mcdonald. It's a good kick. He's got it just back of the outer wing. He goes over the top of a Swans player in Goulden and finds McGuinness. He's deep on the outer side. So slow moving here, the Hawks. He'll eventually put the home team inside 50. Kaczynski might have got one over the shoulder. Umpire said no. Ball at ground level. Bruce hovers over the top of a Swans player and the umpire will come in and say, I'll have it, please. It's Logan McDonald who emerges. It'll be a ball up 40 metres out from Hawthorn's goal.
They lead by 17 points, the Hawks. Luddams down to Rowbottom. They can clear through Parker. Just thumps it back towards the western wing. Bounce on the logo. Heaney gives chase. Coming out to meet him, Granger Barras. Makes the contest. Comes over to Haywood. Walks, gets away from Hardwick. Shares it back to Cunningham. Off a couple of steps. They shield their eyes from the emerging sun. Ronk at the drop. Heaney swoops through as well. Shares it with Buddy. Turns left boot. Centering ball for Parker. He's 55 out. Goes closer to home and the mark is taken. Great work by Logan McDonald, and he crashes to ground here, 35 out, slightly right of centre.
You can really see actual two different game styles going on in the way they're moving the ball, and that's purely on their marks. So the Hawks have had 64 marks, and they've had over double of Sydney. Sydney are going with a much longer ball. Hawks are really doing a lot of side chipping, going around trying to create pockets of space to then move the ball quickly, whereas Sydney are just going one or two, and then they're trying to run with handball and get the ball in.
Bear in mind, Hawthorn had the first 5 goals, 2 of this game. 32 points was their lead midway through the first quarter. This from McDonald to close the gap to 11 points the Hawks' way, and he's missing to the left-hand side. 24 go on second term. Wayward Sydney Swans now 4-7-31. Hawthorn 7-5-47. Nicole Bresnahan, any real breeze to speak of downstairs?
No, not really at all. Conditions are still pretty the same. The ground looks to have dried up slightly, though, as that cloud coverage starts to ease.
Scrimshaw with the kick in for the Hawks. Finds Sicily, left half back. Marks strongly in front of McInerney. Averaging 9 marks a game so far this season is Sicily. Long kick towards left half forward for the Hawks. O'Meara at the fall of the ball. Couldn't win a disposal out. It spills out. He goes and gets his own footy. Strong tackle laid. It'll be a ball up just forward of a wing for the Hawks. 70 metres out from goal. On a 16-point advantage here in Launceston. Kicked the first 5 of the afternoon. Peter Luddams takes it out of the ruck. Handball to the voice of McInerney, who just cuts back inside. Kick across goal is okay to Blakey, who's inside defensive 50. Blakey gains some advantage. His kick was a low ball inside to Warner, who marks on his chest in front of O'Meara. He goes short again to Parker. Not 15, says the umpire. Plays on by hand back to Warner. Inside towards centre half forward go the Swans, and Laddams marks in front of Morrison. They'll go inside 50 now. Long ball. Contest forms. Heaney in a 2-on-1. Did he reel it in? He didn't. Hardwick emerged with it. Kick out to nobody in particular. Goulden awaits. He's got a target inside 50. Rock got some separation and takes the mark. He'll have a shot on goal. 45 metres out.
A good smart play by the Sydney Swans. They set up well outside 50 for that long kick coming back out again. But Hawthorn defenders, they look a little bit tired in that they just bombed the ball out and then stood and watched and didn't reconnect with their opponents really, really quickly, which allowed Ronk to run into far too much space in their forward line.
Hawks fans still having nightmares about Ben Ronk's debut back in 2018 where he kicked 7 against the Hawks. He leans back on this one and that's out of bounds on the full. So stark contrast to his first ever game. He misses everything. His first shot of the afternoon, Ben Ronk.
Yeah, some of the set shots that have been missed haven't been tough. Not like they're shooting from the boundary line, Jay, and you've been pulling your hair out over here.
It's a bit that way.
16 points the Hawthorn lead. Kaczynski goes up. Can't take the mark at the drop. Warple shares it with Sicily in defence. Run down from behind. Great work from the Swans. Good forward pressure from Logan McDonald. Holding the ball was the call. Thought he had more time, James Warple. But McDonald was all over him. And he'll take a set shot here from 45 outs. Boundary line right to his Right, only a couple of metres. Watch this, he'll kick this.
Yeah.
Based on today's forwards.
Yep. This will go straight through the guts.
Sicily again, why do you handball it in the back line to a bloke who's getting sweated on by an opponent? And Warple, when you get tackled, you've got to make it look like you're trying to get rid of it. You can't just hold on to it.
Half-time siren. Here's Logan McDonald for the Sydney Swans. Close that gap to just 10 points at the major break. He's on the approach, starts at left, doesn't bring it back anywhere near enough. It's a minor score. They're 8th of the game here, the Swans, 4-8-32. They've had opportunities. They trail Hawthorn by 15 points. The Hawks are 7-5-47. Goal kickers so far today, 2 for Kaczynski. Both of those came in the first quarter for the Hawks, of course. Moore, Gunston, Wingard, Bruce and McDonald. That's Connor. Are all on the board for Hawthorn. Meanwhile, for the Sydney Swans, they're 4 goals so far, having been kicked by Mills, Goulden, Franklin, and I'm missing one here, McLean, also for the Sydney Swans in that first half of footy. Hawthorn by 15 points here at York Park in Launceston. Bit of cloud cover, but the sun poking through at various stages for the first of 2 big games today, of course, at the MCG. Essendon v Collingwood, the Anzac Day blockbuster still to come later on. In the meantime, our experts here are Nathan Burke and Jay Schultz.
Who do you think's on top, Berkey? I mean, the score, there's 15 points in it. I think Sydney wrestled it back their way a bit there, and they probably should have a couple of extras on the board, but who do you think's got the top edge at the moment?
I think in terms of general play, the Swans were all over them that quarter. You look at some of the stats, so 18 to 12 inside 50s in favour of the Swans. Tackles for that quarter were 14 to 22 in favour of the Swans. And the clearances, 2 to 12 in favour of the Swans. So to me, they were dominating pretty much how the game was being played across the ground, but just couldn't capitalise when it got up their scoring end. Franklin missed a couple. Even the one that he kicked off the ground, he should have bent down and picked it up. Had somebody to handball it to. He could have rolled in and kicked it himself. So 4 goals, 8. Even though the Hawks are going in front, 15 points is it's a handy lead, 2.5 goals. But if I'm the Swans, I'm going in saying, hey, we've now got the game plan, we've got the style to actually win this game and blow the Hawks away. We just need to finish off that last little bit, which is putting the ball through the big sticks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they were just caught napping a little bit at the start of the game, and now they've switched back into gear, but they just can't finish at the moment. So that'd be the frustrating thing for them. They finished their work, and it was a little bit like Geelong yesterday as well with the Kangaroos. Geelong couldn't finish their work early, and then in the third quarter they came out and they kicked 4 straight in a row. So, and then the game changes dramatically, and that could happen here as well. We'll see what Hawthorn bring out in the second half, though.
Just some disposal winners or major ball winners so far to half-time for the Hawks. It's Scrimshaw with 18, Mitchell 16, Sicily 13, 12 apiece to Moore and Hardwick. For the Swans, Callum Mills has 16, Luke Parker 16, Lloyd 12, McInerney 12. And how about this? Isaac Heaney yet to register a kick.
Berkey?
I'm pretty sure I've seen him have a kick.
No.
But 6 handballs. 6 handballs.
5 contested possessions, 6 handballs.
Look, he's looked lively when the ball's gone near him. He spent most of his time sort of forward. He spent a little bit of that first quarter as a loose player in defence towards the end of that quarter, but he still looks, whenever the ball goes near him, I'm going to back him to win it 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's dried up for Hawthorn as well is their efficiency inside 50 in the sort of the first quarter and a half was up around the 67% mark, and that's come right back down to 48 now. So, and I think that's just Sydney slowing up their entries and slowing up the cleanliness of their entries as well, so they're not being able to get the marks and get the easier goals that they were getting early in the game.
Buddy Franklin, 1 goal 4. It's obviously not the sort of result he'd like to half-time, but if nothing else, he's having opportunities, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He probably should be 3 goals 2. And I would normally back that in. Maybe is his finger playing a little bit of a part in it? We don't really know, but I'm sure he wouldn't be rapt to be in that position. But at the same time, like Berkey says, you've had 5 shots, so you're not in a bad space.
Yeah, and it's interesting to know whether it was a left hand or right hand was the finger that was operated on. He's not wearing a glove, which a lot of players do after a bit of an operation like that, so it's a bit hard to tell from up here. But sometimes just that feel on the ball isn't quite there, dropping that ball. So maybe his case, because he's missed some that you would absolutely normally say, put this one down as a certain goal.
Yeah. Yep, sure.
I thought it was the right finger from memory, but No, the left. It was the left.
Was the left.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe playing a part in his drop.
There we go. So that's the situation here. Hawthorn 7-5-47. The Sydney Swans are 4-8-32. You're with Brett Sprigg, Chris Rowbottom, Jay Schulz, Nathan Burke, and Nicole Bresnahan on the boundary for us this afternoon as well. Cool conditions, but just perfect for footy here on the Apple Isle for the second time this weekend. After yesterday, we saw Geelong annihilate North Melbourne by 60 points at Bellerive Oval in Hobart. The second half still to come, so more stats analysis from our experts, and yes, looking very much forward to that. But right now it's time for us to head to the ABC newsroom.
Hall with ABC News. Crowds have returned to Anzac Day commemorations this year, with the Australian War Memorial playing host to national events. With more, here's Isaac Naruzi.
Hundreds of veterans and their descendants have taken part in the march on the grounds of the Australian War Memorial, which returned this year in full for the first time since the pandemic. There was no national service because of redevelopment works. Instead, the Governor-General David Hurley delivered a national address.
The Anzac legacy wasn't etched in stone at Anzac Cove. Each generation has built on it.
Around 18,000 people attended the National Dawn service to honour the men and women who died serving for Australia.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Australia's Air Force has commemorated Anzac Day in Papua New Guinea. Here's our PNG correspondent, Natalie Whiting.
Air Marshal Mel Hupfeld, the Chief of Australia's Air Force, was among the 2,000 people who commemorated Anzac Day at a dawn service at the Bomana War Cemetery in Port Moresby this morning. The service is one of more than a dozen which are being held across PNG today. This year marks the 80th anniversary of the Kokoda campaign, and this year's services are the first fully open to the public since the pandemic began. Natalie Whiting, ABC News, Port Moresby.
Emmanuel Macron has comfortably defeated nationalist rival Marine Le Pen in the French presidential election, but admits voters remain sceptical about his leadership due to the soaring cost of living. More from Tom Major.
Mr Macron has acknowledged many have only voted for him to keep the far right out. He's promising to address slipping living standards in Europe's third biggest economy. The rising cost of living has become an increasing strain for the poorest in the country, with 2/3 of working class voters backing Ms Le Pen, who promised to prioritise people hit hardest by rising food and energy prices. But many stayed away from the poll, with the 28% abstention rate, the highest recorded since 1969. Riot police sprayed tear gas on demonstrators in central Paris as demonstrations against Mr Macron broke out across the country.
There are renewed calls for the establishment of safe humanitarian corridors to help get trapped civilians out of war-torn Ukraine. Aid organisations are bracing for a surge in refugees making their way to Romania and Moldova as Russian attacks target Ukraine's south. CEO of World Vision Australia, Daniel Wordsworth, says the humanitarian response is focused on trying to reach those stuck in Ukraine.
This gigantic movement of people is really quite shocking, and yet the situation is still worse for those that are stuck inside cities like Mariupol, perhaps in the future Odessa. There just aren't the safe corridors we need to have in place to get civilians out of this conflict.
WA has today recorded one new COVID-19 death and 5,639 new infections. As of 8 o'clock last night, 240 people were in hospital in Western Australia with the virus, including 9 in intensive care. The number of active cases in the state has been steadily climbing since last week and currently sits at just above 45,000. While in New South Wales, another 4 people with COVID have died. The state's registered 7,985 new COVID cases. There are 1,631 people with COVID in New South Wales hospitals, including 64 in intensive care. The Department of Foreign Affairs employee has faced the ACT Magistrates Court today after being charged with rape. 48-year-old Sean McKenna faces 2 counts of sexual intercourse without consent and 2 counts of an act of indecency over an incident in Canberra on Friday. He's been granted bail but has had to hand over his passport and can't go within 100 metres of an airport. Red Cross Lifeblood says 800 blood donations are required today to address the demand on blood stocks. It says more than 4,000 appointments need to be filled across the country over the next week, with a critical shortage in Western Australia. And Lifeblood's Kath Stone says donors who have recently had COVID are still eligible to donate.
If you've had the virus, we do hope that you're feeling much better by the time that you want to come and donate. We ask that you do it 7 days after you have been cleared from that isolation period, that you're feeling fit and well. If you've just had a booster shot, you wait 3 days.
And making news in sport today, the Miami Heat has taken a 3-1 lead against the Atlanta Hawks in their first round NBA playoff series. ABC News.
Some shows are informative, others are entertaining, but only one show is a bona fide public service.
Unprecedented in modern times.
The team at The Weekly watches all the news so that you don't have to, and puts it all together again so you know everything you need to and nothing you don't.
Story after story.
The Weekly. If you give us 30 minutes, we'll give you the week.
The new season of The Weekly.
Some assembly required.
Back this Wednesday night on ABC TV or log in to stream on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Warner for the Swans gets there now, shrugs a tackle, hand pass, McInerney off to Rowbottom. No real options here. McLean, 25 out, will snap. It was untidy, but it bounces through for a goal.
To O'Meara. Clears defence. Big fly from Dylan Moore. Takes the mark at half back. Tom Mitchell's left foot kick. He stubbed his toe as he attempted to kick the shot on goal. All's well that ends well for the Hawks because it fell out to Luke Bruce, who made a Tom Mitchell mistake look okay. He kicks the goal for the Hawks.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time at York Park in Launceston, where the Hawthorn Footy Club leads Sydney 7-5-47. The Swans are 4-8-32. Opportunities are plenty for both sides in that second term. And Hawthorn with an early 32-point lead. They're led by that margin midway through the first quarter. The first 7 scoring shots of the game. The Swans have pegged their way back, and this game between top 8 combatants is certainly a pretty tight one. Bit of seesawing momentum here on Anzac Day. And it's still anyone's game with a 15-point break to the Swans at the half. You're with Brett Sprigg alongside Chris Rowbottom. Our experts are Nathan Burke, Jay Schultz and Nicole Bresnahan on the boundary. Of course, coming up later on, the Anzac Day blockbuster, Essendon versus Collingwood at the MCG. Always a spectacle regardless of where those two sides are on the ladder. And we'll take you there as soon as this match is completed. And we're with you at the moment on ABC local radio throughout Tasmania and on ABC Sport Digital everywhere else, and also on News Radio. We'll all get that game, Essendon v Collingwood, coming up at 3:20 Eastern. So that all still to come. My voice is back, and hopefully the Sydney Swans will be as well in the second half coming up to make a game of it. The results so far this round. So AFL round 6 began in Canberra back on Friday night. Secure to beat the GWS Giants 10-17-77 to 8-12-60. Again, the Giants are wayward, and the Saints keep rolling on at 5-1. They are currently in the top 4. They were second at that point, but results since then have pushed them back down to 4th. A 1-point thriller in Ballarat on Saturday afternoon. The Adelaide Crows beat the Western Bulldogs by 1 point, 8-15-63 to 9-8-62. And then in Adelaide, after that, in Adelaide, we saw Port Adelaide beat the West Coast Eagles by 84 points. Fremantle beat Carlton by 35 points over at Perth Stadium back on Saturday night. Yesterday in Hobart, we were all there to see Geelong beat North Melbourne by 60 points. Brisbane, far too comfortable for the Gold Coast Suns in Q Clash 22. A very neat 21-6, 132 to 11-14-80. And last night, in the now traditional Anzac Day Eve blockbuster, Melbourne beat Richmond by 22 points, 9-22 to 8-6. So Melbourne sit remaining atop the AFL ladder, of course, now a game clear. The situation here is Hawthorn leads by 15 points. Might just bring in Jay Schultz, because we're talking about some of the wayward scores across this round, save probably for the Lions, who kicked 21 goals, 6 last night. But you are a goal-kicking specialist, and we're talking about that as far as, I guess, certain techniques and why key forwards, for example, don't opt to drop punt more. But why is it that we are seeing wobbly score lines? Do you have a theory as to any particular reason why?
Yeah, look, I do have a theory. Goal kicking is the only skill in the AFL that hasn't improved over 50 years or whatever. And there is a reason for it. It's because goal kicking is the only closed skill in AFL. So the difference between an open and a closed skill, an open skill is you run down the ground, you pick up the ball, you handball, you kick, you mark, do all that sort of stuff. It's everything that comes in a natural motion. A goal kicking thing is something which we call a closed skill, which is you have to stand, think, deliver, right? Same as a basketball free throw. So it's the only skill in the AFL which hasn't improved because of that, because it's a closed skill. So the reason I believe that guys play on and kick snaps around the corner is because they turn that skill into an open skill. They force themselves under pressure, but under natural pressure, to be able to create a skill that's easier. So guys, run-ups, and the way I teach run-ups with kids is that if you can turn that closed skill as much as possible into an open skill, you will kick a lot better.
So what makes a closed skill hazardous? Is it just the mental side of things?
Absolutely. So you're standing there at the top of your run-up and you're sitting there going, crap, the score, I need to kick this, mum, dad in the crowd, the wind, the run, the rain, the shine, the opposition, the crowd, everything else comes into your head while you're walking in. And so by the time you actually get ready to run and kick the ball, you are that stressed in your own head that it does not feel natural. Whereas the running steps should actually feel natural, but your walking steps, you have created so much stress for yourself that the running steps are not natural.
Are we trying to coach those traditional techniques such as the drop punt back into the game, or is it just something that we have to accept is going to evolve? Every play is different, I suppose.
Every play is different, but I mean, goal kicking, lots of people try to figure it out for years. I think I've come to a pretty good way that I can figure it out, and I do private kicking lessons with kids, and I've trained probably over 150 kicks now, and all of them have improved. So I know what I do works as well. And I believe that it is the ability to get kids out of their own heads, to get them away from thinking about all the external things so that they can be relaxed and they can kick naturally.
It is something, Berkey, that we talk about, and having done sort of, radio show hosts, and you get punters calling up, the chief gripe, apart from whatever umpiring decision happened last week or whatever, is always about goal kicking. And why can't today's players just kick decent set shots for goal? It is the number one thing, I reckon, that grates on fans. I don't know, probably a couple of things these days, but to be honest, that's certainly up there.
It is. It's one of the things that we always come back to is how often are they practicing? How many shots a week are they actually having? And is the strength and conditioning coach and high performance coach saying you're only allowed to have 12 kicks today and then you've got to come off? There's an element of that.
Yep.
It wasn't, so I finished playing 19 years ago, so it wasn't a factor you'd go out and have as many as you actually needed. There's an element of that, but having said that, they are still practicing, and they're doing lots and lots of kicking for goals and that sort of thing. So as Jay said, a lot of it is what goes on between the ears. You get them up in the middle of the ground and kick the ball backwards and forwards, and they won't miss each other by a metre either side all day long. But get them to do it in front of goals, and it's a mental thing, and we haven't been able to fix that. I believe that going around the corner, there's a lot to do with the confidence in actually dropping the ball as well, because when you're coming forward for a set shot, you're actually hitting the skinny part, you're holding the ball on the side, and you're trying to hit the skinny part, whereas if you're going around the corner, you've got your hand underneath the ball, it's easier to hold, you're dropping it a lot easier, and you're kicking a far fatter part of the ball than the skinny part and holding it on the side. So those elements make the players in their minds think they're more confident in being able to do that kick. So it all comes down to what goes on between their ears.
And the fact that they are able to use what's going on in between the ears, because it's an unnatural skill in the game. Because everything else, your midfielders can hit a target, get a lead and flat out for 50 metres away, but they can't do it standing in front of goal because it's unnatural.
I appreciate your insights, particularly yours, Jay, as you say, being a goal-kicking coach at the moment. Hawthorn by 15 points here, 7-5 plays, 4-8. It's a good crowd in at York Park in Launceston. As far as we can tell, the subs have not been made to this point. They are Liam Shields for the Hawks and Josh Kennedy for the Swans. We'll check in with Nicole Bresnahan on the boundary as we approach the start of this second half. What do the Swans have to do here, Berkey, to find their way back in?
Do what they were doing that quarter.
Just finish better.
Yeah, absolutely. That quarter, their game style, their pressure, the way that they moved the ball was far better than that first quarter, and the only thing they didn't do was finish off. So Joe and I were just talking, and he's predicting a bit of an avalanche here for the Swans.
I don't know if I said that, mate. But
I've got more faith in the Hawks than he has.
Rightio, Hawthorn by 15 points. We get us underway here with the second half on Grandstand AFL. Here's Chris Rowbottom.
Ripping second half of footy coming up from Launceston. Hawks and Swans. Hawthorn will take a 15-point buffer into the third term. Just about all set to get back underway. We are up in the middle. Laddams and Lynch go at it once again. Newcomb missed it. Mills went low, handled it out to Laddams, who fed it out to Goulden. Had to go and chase it on the bounce. Did so. Retreated to Parker. His short kick was good to Lloyd. Played on by hand to Blakey. Left foot ball. A short kick to Mills was good. He marks in front of Sicily. Inside 50 go the Swans. And getting back, taking the mark, was McLean. Took it in between two Hawks. And he'll have a shot for goal on a tight-ish angle just inside 50.
Blakey's done that a couple of times now. He looks up the ground like he's scanning for something long. He shapes to do a long kick, and then all of a sudden he just pulls it short about 15, 20 metres in front of him and catches a lot of those close defenders out.
So McLean for the Swans to potentially bring it back to a 9-point ball game. He kicks from just inside 50. It's to the top of the square. Hawthorn have the numbers. They punch it through for a minor score. So Hawthorn 7-5-47 Sydney, 4-9-33. Just over a minute gone, third term.
Have a look at goal kicking again after that chat from Jay. I just see a player going to pieces mentally as Hayden McLean did then. So another miss. Hardwick comes to the right back pocket. Morrison. It's not a new thing. I'm just seeing it more now. I'm noticing those players and just...
it's unnatural because you're standing there thinking about it. Well, you don't do that in a game. You see, even now they're on the mark and they're bouncing around, ready to
Morrison
do the next thing.
And evades Heaney, almost run down from behind by Haywood. He's kick up the line to find Wingard, back edge of the square. Call to play on now. The Hawks are away. Kazitsky out the back on Lloyd. Second bite. Not paid the mark. Spills here to Ward. He's tackled by Blakey at left half forward. Ball goes with him. Umpire raises the arm, says play on. Mills goes in hard here for the Swans. Out it comes to Ward of the Hawks. He's had the footy ripped away from him. McInerney goes for the Swans and he is collected. We'll ball it up. 55 out from Hawthorn's goal, City end. It's the Hawks by 14 points. 2.5 played third term.
Up it goes, Lynch and Laddams. Laddams won it down. Parker couldn't bring it under his spell. Up from Nash to Lynch to Mitchell. High ball now inside 50. Lloyd had to stand tall. Over the top came Gunston. It fell out to Morrison. Handball inboard to Dylan Moore. Snap on goal is missing to the near side. Minor score for the Hawks, who moved to 7-6-48. Swans 4-9-33. 2.5 gone third term.
Jake Lloyd had 30 touches last time these sides met, around 13 last year. Goes long up the pipe here. Heaney has pressure from Hardwick. Hardwick gathers the football off to Newcomb. Hawks can go again from centre half forward. Up inside 50 he goes, straight down Paddy McCartan's throat. And he marks 20 out from defensive goal for the Swans. Stabs at it here. Mills cops a push from O'Meara, and we march 50 here for his troubles. It was clear as day, I reckon. O'Meara, he was in the wrong. Mills opens up from space now beyond the bullseye. Shapes to hand pass, but goes the kick. Up inside 50 in the pocket. Fraggle, big fly up there first, Laddams. Franklin waits at the back. There's going to be a free kick here for a high tackle, and that will go Sydney's way. Now, Laddams was up there nice and early. I fancy the free kick is somehow going to him. I'd like to see a replay of that because he got set with a big pack hanger and somehow the ball's going to come back to him for a free kick. The umpire did say it was high.
I don't know how. When you're sitting,
I thought it was McLean.
You're sitting on somebody's head.
I was looking for a different part of the pack in case it was, but Adams is going back here for the set shot. 20 out, slightly right of centre. Sydney need this goal. It's only 15 points the margin, but they've been so wayward. Laddams is missing to the left by a fair margin as well. Sydney now 4-10-34. Hawthorn 7-6, 48. 4.5 played third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Joe Schultz about to walk out of the box.
You know what he's thinking there, mate? Exactly what you said. Geez, I need to kick this goal.
McCartan flies on centre wing. Mitchell at the base of the ball. Swans have the numbers. Reinforcements arrive for the Hawks. Parker Hansen needs fed it out to Bell. He's met strongly by Impey. It'll be all wrapped up and it'll be a ball up just forward of the wing for the Swans. Down it comes. Mitchell couldn't get a grasp of Miracle. His kick out of the congestion finds McDonald. He played on immediately to Newcomb through the middle of the ground, and another ill-directed kick inside 50. McCartan chops off once again. Paddy McCartan just got one on the way past from Wingard, and he's emerging gingerly. But he did take the mark, and he will take his kick inside defensive 50 for the Swans. There's something on short. Hayward takes the mark on his chest. Back of the square. Short kick now to Franklin. Progresses things by 15 metres. Franklin thought about biting one off on the inside. Eventually goes to the outer wing. Finds McInerney. He marks just back of a wing for the Swans. Short ball possession footy now from Sydney. Callum Mills marks on the logo.
And Mills just slows things down here for the Swans. Gains about 35 here with the kick to Laddams, just forward of the wing. Ex-Port player wheels around. That left boot, high inside forward 50. McLean gets set with a big fly. Can't pull it down at the drop here. O'Meara evades Bell, goes the shrug. Now the kick back to the outer wing here at York Park. Gunston in the contest down there with Lloyd. He out-bodies him, but goes up against the boundary line and over for a throw-in. Eastern wing, a stoppage here. Right on true centre wing. Hawthorn still leads by 14 points. Still waiting for a goal in this third quarter, which, by the way, is 6.5 minutes old.
In it comes. Boundary throw in. Outer side. Lynch just took it out of the ruck for the Hawks. Tumbled one towards half forward, and Rampy worked Gunston underneath the footy cleverly and took the mark. He's at right half back for the Swans. He's going to look inside the middle of the ground. He'll kick a little further than that. McLean over the back couldn't take it. Impey roved it for the Hawks. Parker fighting hard. One out the handball to McInerney. Tried to slap it on. Missed the footy. Hawks have the numbers. Newcomb pounces on the loose ball and gains some separation. Takes a bounce. Left foot kick is ugly, but it'll find Gunston on the bounce. His kick is straight up and down. Laddams underneath it stands tall and takes a good chest mark. He's at right half back for the Swans. Thought about playing on by hand, opts against it, then thought about the short option to Rowbottom, opts against that, eventually has to play on by hand. Over the top now, Rampy. Goes one way, then the other. They're mucking around with it here, the Swans. Laddams goes back to Mills. Now Rampy. Cunningham provides support. Little kick around the corner. Was intended for McInerney. Newcomb pounced on it. He'll eventually take it out of bounds. No, he won't. He was wrapped up just inside the boundary line. The tackle came from Cunningham, and he was adjudged holding the ball. Sydney ball at right half back.
So high ball toward the wing. McLean gets set, and this time clunks it on the outer logo. He's a long way from home. Been busy in this second half so far, as has Laddams. Spreads it wide to Rowbottom. He can go off a couple of steps. High kick inside of the pocket, and now a strong grab up in defence. It was nicely read by McGuinness.
Bit of ping pong back, Berkey.
Yeah, it has been a great quarter so far. Both sides making really bad errors with the footy and just kicking the ball long.
McGuinness again turns it over, straight to McLean. The Swans get it back at half forward. He retreats to McInerney, still on the outer wing here at York Park. Swans attacking towards the Invermay Park.
It's gone 5 metres.
And yeah, it's not quite the 15, but the umpire's paid it to Mills.
That's a problem with the stand rule. If you don't use it to run past, all you do is you kick the ball 10 metres sideways.
Mills sets it up to the teeth of goal now. McLean in the hot spot. Frost gets set in defence. Sicily's kick smothered. Frost goes to clear as well. It sets up for Blakey. Can't pull in the mark at half forward. Gets some assistance, gets it back now, Blakey. But plenty of Hawthorn jumpers in defence. Heaney involved though for the Swans. Provides some pressure. Top of the goal square. Careful here, Hawthorn defenders. They pile in from all angles, and the umpire's going to say here, let it come loose. Comes out to Mitchell. Hawthorn are away.
Dylan Moore marks at left half back, and he's got some space to work with. He takes the bounce as he runs through the middle of York Park. Handball back over the shoulder to Conor Nash, who provided support. He retreats a little further to Mitchell. Short kick is good to Wingard. He marks on centre wing, outer side. Short jabbing ball is good to Mitchell, who kept on running. He kicks towards half forward and finds the chest of a teammate in Gunston. 65 metres out from goal tight angle. He'll just lob it to the top of the square, over the top of Kazitsky. Blakey had to get boots a ball. Eventually got it to Mills. He's wrapped up by Nash. Morphed it out the handball to Wingard. Went inside, then outside. Found his left boot. Shot on goal. He's marked on the line by Laddams. It won't score.
Laddams, short kick here to Warner. Wasn't 15. Play on. Burns away from McGuinness. Wastes the kick. Straight to Warple. 40 out directly in front. His skill level has been abysmal right across this game, particularly in this second half.
I hope all my groans aren't coming through the microphone. Just because I'm sitting here going,
They tell a story, Burke. You don't worry. We'll get to Nicole Bresnahan shortly. We'll wait for this Warple kick. He was the sub last week and saw some action in that game against Geelong. Best and fairest of a few years ago. James Warple kicking to the city end. Lays into it from 50. On its way. This time he makes no mistake. They break the deadlock of goals at the 11-minute mark of this third quarter. Hawthorn 8-6-54. The Sydney Swans 4-10-34. Nicole Bresnahan on the boundary.
So Paddy McCartan's just gone straight down to the rooms with the doctor. Looked to be a review of that last hit there. He'll go down and get an assessment for concussion. And Kennedy just doing a few laps along the boundary line now.
Yeah, it's a big one for a number of reasons. One, obviously, Josh Kennedy coming on. I think this game will suit him the way it's being played, his experience. But for Paddy McCartan, it was an intercept mark down low. The Hawthorn player came through, nothing untoward, was going for the ball as well, and just sort of clipped him on the side of the face. He initially told the doctors, no, I'm fine, and shrugged them off. They came back, had a look at the video and said, no, Paddy, we need to have a closer look. So fingers crossed it's all okay for Paddy McCartan, given his history.
Breathing space for the Hawks, back out to a 20-point lead. Sydney will win it away from the centre square stoppage. Parker gave it to Lloyd, who was running off the back of the square. Kicked to left half forward, eluded McDonald. Denver Granger Barras went to ground. He was tackled by McDonald. It'll be a ball up just forward of the wing for the Swans.
It annoys me when players go for the ball one-handed. You're not good enough to take the ball one-handed, Logan McDonald, and dodge around people. Use two.
Nash out of the ruck contest just sends Hawthorn forward towards half forward. Wingard, it eluded Wingard. He got a bad bounce. It ended up with Blakey, whose kick into the middle of the ground was a good one to Warner. He sends the Swans inside 50 now. Hawthorn defender lost their footing. It's a free kick. They play on by advantage. It'll be Frost to bring it out of defensive 50 for the Hawks. He's got Morrison on the near wing, who waits underneath it and takes the chest mark.
Morrison comes up the line. Kazitsky leads up. Good spoil from Rampy from the side. At the drop, Campbell now for the Swans on his preferred left side. Pushed off the kick. As a result, out of bounds on the full. True centre wing commentary side.
Well done by Rampy to get a spoil on that one, because that was Kazitsky coming hard, taking the ball out in front. And well done by the umpire, but not reacting and paying a free kick like most do in those situations these days.
Hawthorn by 20 points here. 8-6-54, plays 4-10-34. 13 gone in this third quarter on Grandstand AFL. Morrison wheels and goes now. Kazitsky again this time. Left Rampy in his wake. And he clunks it 45 out right of centre.
Well, I like the way he comes with the footy. Yeah. Like that, really leaps forward, takes it out in front. As we said, Rampy spoilt the last one, but it didn't deter him. Came out the footy again, leapt, took the way out in front of his eyes. But now he needs to go back and put it through, because a 20-point lead, the Swans are struggling to score goals. If this gets out to 26, that's very handy.
Kicked 2 goals in the first quarter to Jacob Kazitsky. On the approach from 55. Hasn't hit it quite well enough. It's right line. It might just get there. No, touched on the line. At the city end for a minor score. Hawthorn 8-7-55. The Swans 4-10-34. Margin 21. 14 gone third quarter.
Blakey marked the Lloyd kick in up the line to Hayward, who spilt the mark. He's got Day for company, cuts back inside by hand to Blakey, back to Haywood now. Gunston applied the pressure. Blakey goes and gets the loose footy. His left foot ball back inside defensive 50. Campbell's got a problem. He runs directly into Conor Nash. And that's a man you don't want to run into. Maybe a little stiff to be caught holding the ball. The prior was... Well, there wasn't much of
There's
it.
none.
I think the crowd convinced the umpire of that one.
None whatsoever. And he's supposed to be a good umpire, this bloke. But just because he didn't go to ground immediately, there was 2 or 3 steps before it actually took him to the ground. That doesn't mean that you've got time to get rid of the ball. It was a front-on tackle, so a terrible decision.
So Conor Nash, he's a man that you don't want to run into. He had the wrestle with Damien Monkhorst at Hawthorn training a couple of weeks ago that was well publicised. He kicks from just inside 50 on goal. Not a renowned goal kicker, Conor Nash, and he doesn't add to his tally on this occasion. A minor score for the Hawks. 8-8-56 Hawthorn. Sydney 4-10-34. 22 points the margin. 14 and a half gone.
Jake Lloyd, kick out here for the Swans. Beyond defensive 50. Up goes McInerney against Morrison. The drop here, Warner is beaten to the boundary line by Bruce. The ball goes with him off hands for a throw-in. 65 around from Hawthorn's goal. By the way, our umpires today, Chris Donlan, Nick Brown and Paul Rebashini, officiating in green. Hawthorn by 22 points. Midway through this third quarter here at York Park in Launceston. Adams wins it down. Warner dispossessed. Robert follows up here. Pressure again from Nash. Hand pass to O'Meara. Morrison waiting for it now. Has 2 to beat. Neat hand pass to O'Meara again. Tumbles a kick inside 50 at the drop there. It was Conor Mcdonald. It comes to Tom Mitchell. Now Bruce again. Does he have room to start? No, Tom McCartan. Huge tackle. Pinned the arm. Spun him round holding the ball.
That's Pryor.
Yeah, yeah.
That's about as holding the ball as you can get.
Yeah, trying to fend off and then getting done. That's wow.
Tom McCartan's kick laterally is an absolute stinker. Calls for out of bounds on the full. It must have just bounced inside the line. We'll have a boundary throw in it. Far forward for the Hawks.
Isaac Heaney hasn't touched the ball since, probably late in the second quarter. Is it time to get him up in the midfield?
Absolutely.
Like we know how good he is in the forward 50.
Yep.
Time to get him inside, I think.
Got to get him away from Hardwick, who's beaten him because he's as strong and athletic as him.
Yep.
Ward's handball was only as far as Rowbottom. Ward Whitten roved it again. He's tackled by Warner, gathered it. Well, if the Conor Nash decision was holding the ball, that probably was too, because he was wrapped up as soon as he took possession. But it'll be a ball up just back of a wing for the Swans. Nash and Laddams go at it. O'Meara ground level. There is Heaney up the ground. He's tackled and mobbed by a pair of Hawks. And he might be judged holding the ball here too. The umpire spotted Heaney perhaps just dragging it underneath. It'll be a Hawthorn free kick. Josh Ward, the recipient.
So Ward, short kick inboard to O'Meara. Back edge of the square. Every player on the ground inside the attacking half here for Hawthorn. They lead by 22 points. O'Meara's kicked down the corridor now. It's at the bootlaces of Mills. Picked up now by Campbell. They can rebound here, the Swans. Back to the commentary side. Franklin has 3 to beat. Traps the footy. Run down here by Frost. And the footy's come loose. It will be a free kick for a hold. On that occasion, he was dealt with by... beg your pardon, Will Day. It comes up the line now to the flank. Another free kick, Sydney, this time for Ben Ronk. So he's 65 out. The Swans can't waste opportunities. They have done so far. 4-10 their score, trailing by 22 points. Ronk goes deep to the pocket as Sicily is involved here. O'Meara goes to help him, waiting for a clearance. Rowbottom. McDonald opts to snap. It's across his body and away. Bouncing across the right behind post and over for a throw-in. So a 4:50 stoppage here for Sydney at the Indomay Park end. It's 18 gone third term. This will be a short quarter as well because not many goals have been scored. Just the one, in fact, was Hawthorn's. They lead by 22 points.
Hawks have led all day. We're out by as many as 32 early in the first term. Back to 22 now from the boundary throw-in. It'll elude all comers. There's a Sydney player down, just emerging teeny. Looks okay as he gets back to his feet. We'll have another boundary throw in. 20 metres around from the right hand behind post, Sydney's attacking zone. In it comes Nash and Laddams to do the ruck work. McGuinness got boots of ball, clears defensive 50 for the Hawks. Bruce was waiting out the back. He's got Braden Campbell to contend with. Campbell beat him to it. Mills on hands and knees, fed it up to Lloyd. He assesses his options, eventually just drops it off to Cunningham by hand, who cuts inside, then outside and finds a target out wide in Warner. He marks in front of Tom Mitchell, just forward of the outer wing. Inside the boundary line. Short ball to Florent. He's good. He marks it right half forward. Steps around the man on the mark. High ball now inside 50. Pack will form from the back. Too deep was McDonald. Heaney at the fall of the ball. Flying shot at goal. Didn't get the purchase. It's hacked off the ground by Morrison. This will be insufficient at 10, almost certainly, and it is. Free kick against the Hawks. It'll be a Sydney Swans ball. 60 out from goal on the boundary line.
Approaching time on third term. Hawthorn still by 22 points. Here's Rowbottom. That's James, not Chris. Up to the teeth of gold now. They get set. Franklin in front at the drop. Heaney, hand pass back to Mills. Works it further afield. Ronk can snap from 25. Out, curls it back, but not enough. Misses to the right-hand side. So, just curiously, as Nicole Bresnahan mentioned, Paddy McCartan's off being assessed after a head knock, but still no sub being made yet with Josh Kennedy. So, Paddy McCartan in the rooms. Still no sign of Sydney's sub having been made. It's now a 21-point lead Hawthorn's way.
Sicily runs his full measure out of full back and dumps a long ball beyond defensive 50 to the near wing. Big fist came straight down to Morrison, who ran straight into trouble holding the ball. Harry Morrison. Good tackle laid by Goulden. He took Morrison on the mark. Morrison just forced him onto his left boot. Inside 50 go the Swans. Off the chest of Sicily. Hayward kept it into Bell. Shot across the face of goal, and the mark is taken by McDonald 25 metres out directly in front. So good work from Will Hayward to keep the ball alive. It results in a set shot on goal to Logan McDonald. And the Swans in need of a major here. They've kicked 4-11 for the afternoon.
He can't miss this one.
If he misses this one, mate, I'm going home.
You're going home? Well,
I'm going to jump out the window.
You can walk home. I'm not walking home.
No.
I'm not swimming home. But I won't be far behind you.
Yeah.
So Logan McDonald, the prodigious talent out of WA. I tell you what, he's made the umpire really work, but he's snuck it in somehow. And he's kicked the Swans fifth of the afternoon and narrowed the margin. 8-8-56 the Hawks. Sydney 5-11-41. 21 minutes gone. Third term for Grandstand AFL. Logan McDonald's first of the afternoon.
Yeah, majority of the stats are all very similar. Like apart from inside 50s, which the Swans are 41-33 to the Hawks. So they're having more of the ball in the front half, and they're having the scoring shots as well. But it's just been a bit of a, like we've said a few times, a bit of a ping pong game. They're using the ball really well, going through the middle of the ground, and then as they get to 70 out, and anything inside of 70 metres, they're just turning over or kicking to the opposition.
Margin 15 points. ABC Sport, this is Grandstand AFL. Restart back in the middle. Lynch v McLean. Warple tries to trap it, evades Florent, comes back to Lynch, wrapped up by Parker immediately, and the umpire's going to say here, holding the ball.
Wow. Where was his option there?
I think Parker just rips the footy clear, and the Swans will surge forward. Can they regain some momentum here? Off to Jake Lloyd, searching inside forward 50 with that big boot up in front. Frost in defence. Falls here to McLean. Off to Warner, off a step from 40. Chad Warner rides it all the way home. He can be a game breaker, this kid. Very important goal for the Sydney Swans. They close the gap back to just 9 points with back-to-back goals in this third term. Sydney 6-11-47. Hawthorn 8-8-56. The margin single digits. 23 gone third quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, that was a good finish, and as soon as it left his boot, he was off looking for some support in the stands, but he chose to stand with only yellow and brown scarves and jumpers in it, so he didn't get a big reaction, and eventually his teammates caught up with him, but it was a lovely finish off a step or two. You get a lucky free kick in the middle of the ground, and it's up to you to make the most of it, and that's what Sydney have done. And certainly 9 points, what are they down? 9 point deficit now. They'll be looking to maybe get in front three-quarter time.
Back in the middle we go. 9 points the deficit, as you just heard. Hawks will get the centre clearance, though. They go inside 50 via O'Meara. Was chopped off by McCartan, though. Comes it to McGuinness, who gives it to Conor McDonald. Hands it off to Wingard. Pops it to the top of the square. The mark's taken by Bruce. We'll have a shot on goal from a very tight angle, but from just 2 or 3 metres out. You would think Luke Bruce will have no troubles from here. He lines up to kick around his body, steps around and makes no mistake whatsoever. So Hawthorn with the instant reply. The Hawks now 9-8-62 to Sydney 6-11-47. Nicole Bresnahan's on the boundary.
Yeah, it does look like Kennedy has taken off the long sleeve, and it looks like they're about to activate the medical sub. He actually enters onto the ground now. Still no sign, though, of Paddy McCartan.
Yeah, still in the rooms. Berkey, I want to ask you, as someone who wore a helmet throughout your career, Paddy McCartan, obviously with his history and another head knock today, it's always concerning when you see him in that sort of situation. Do you think a helmet, he has worn one as well in the past, whether it would be something he would look at going forward? Yeah,
it depends. There's lots and lots of different forms of concussion. Some players get knocked out and they don't know where they are. Yeah. Others just get delayed concussion. Others get nausea, and some get a migraine. So it's depending on the triggers and the types of concussion that he actually suffers.
And as people talk about, helmets don't necessarily always prevent them, but it's just a preference thing, I suppose. 15 points gone. Morrison, his hand pass picked off by Mills. Mitchell gets it back here for the Hawks. Will come back. Free kick for the Swans. Didn't see what it was for a throw. Incorrect disposal. So Mills will have it from just behind the centre circles. On the wide kick for Hayward, just forward of the wing on the eastern side here at York Park. So Hawthorn with a response, lead by 15 points again. Up inside 50 the Swans go. Josh Kennedy's involved here. Florent bursts through though. He loses the football, wrapped up by his opposite number in Moore. And the umpire will ball it up 40 out from the Sydney goal into May Park end.
Swans are very happy to bomb the ball inside forward 50 and to get numbers in there and try and have 2 or 3 goes at it.
So Hawthorn win the clearance, kick out to a one-on-one. Wingard does battle with Campbell. Campbell won the day, got it almost up to McInerney. Hawthorn jumpers arrived. O'Meara gathered the footy, ripped off the handball. Campbell went in hard at ground level. The boundary line will beat all comers. It'll spill over for a throw-in just forward of a wing for the Swans. 15 points the margin. Deep into the third term here in Launceston. And it comes. Lynch does the ruck work for the Hawks, paddles it down in front of O'Meara, who runs onto the loose footy. Thought he was claimed high. Umpire said no. It'll spill out once again for a boundary throw-in. Exact same spot. 9-8-62 the Hawks. Swan 6-11-47. And it comes again. Lynch and McLean, and McLean's just ripped off his kick. Here's Kennedy, the sub, activated for McCartan. Weaves through some traffic, puts the Swans inside 50. Big fist came from Granger Barras. Has been a free kick. It'll go Hawthorn's way. Bronx cheers from the Hawthorn faithful. Frost was held out of the contest by Franklin. He'll take the free kick inside defensive 50.
But he does that a little bit too much, and he always has. It just gives away free kicks when he's out of position. Doesn't give his teammates the opportunity to get the footy or win the footy because he's given away a cheap one.
Frost toward the outer side. Campbell goes in hard. Blakey wins it away to Josh Kennedy, his first involvement. Now Blakey again off to Errol Goulden. 65 from goal for the Swans. Looks in the Franklin direction out the back against Frost. He's got support there in Hayward. Goes from the pocket. Centering ball marked by Ronk. Not paid. Spills to Parker. In fact, it is paid. A late call for the mark there. Ronk is 15 metres out directly in front.
That was a good kick by Buddy. He was running towards the boundary on his left-hand side. He probably in previous times he may have had tried to have a dribble along the ground, but he brought that back to the top of the square and took a mark. He should finish this.
So Ben Ronk, who kicked 7 goals against the Hawks back in 2018, has an opportunity right on the three-quarter time zone. He stabs at this, again makes the goal umpire work, but gets a very important goal for the Sydney Swans. And we're back to that 9-point margin. Hawthorn 9-8-62. The Swans with their 7th. 7-11-53. They've made their sub. Paddy McCartan off after a head knock. A wayward knee from Chad Wingard. And Josh Kennedy in the action here as their sub. Three-quarter time at York Park. Hawthorn by 9 points on ABC Radio, News Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFL.
The election. It's easy to get lost amongst the polls, policies and pledges. If only there was a way you could make more sense of it.
Bridget Brennan from ABC News has an election hack, a way to find out how your views compare to the major parties.
Go online to Vote Compass, answer a few quick questions. You may be surprised where you stand on the political spectrum.
Vote Compass, exclusive to the ABC.
Go to abc.net.au/Australia Votes.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Adams, short kick here to Warner, wasn't 15, play on. Burns away from McGuinness, wastes the kick. Straight to Warple, 40 out directly in front. His skill level has been abysmal right across this game, particularly in this second half. James Warple, kicking to the city end, plays into it from 50, on its way. This time he makes no mistake. They break the deadlock of goals.
Hayward kept it into Bell, shot across the face of goal, and the mark is taken by McDonald 25 metres out directly in front. So Logan McDonald, prodigious talent out of WA. I tell you what, he's made the umpire really work, but he's snuck it in somehow. And he's kicked the Swans 5th of the afternoon.
Balls here to McLean, off to Warner, off a step from 40. Chad Warner rides it all the way home. He can be a game breaker, this kid. Very important goal for the Sydney Swans. They close the gap.
Hands it off to Wingard, pops it to the top of the square. The mark's taken by Bruce. We'll have a shot on goal from a very tight angle, but from just 2 or 3 metres out. He lines up to kick around his body, steps around and makes no mistake whatsoever. So Hawthorn with the instant reply.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
The sounds of the third term here at York Park in Launceston, where Hawthorn leads the Sydney Swans 9-8-62 to Sydney 7-11-53. Just recap those goal scorers first for you to the final change. 2 each for the Hawks to Bruce and Kaczynski. Singles for Moore, Gunston, Wingard, Warple and Conor Mcdonald. Meanwhile, for the Sydney Swans, Lance Franklin has 1 goal, 4. McDonald has 1, and Ronk now has 1. Also, Warner, McLean, Mills and Goulden on the board for the Sydney Swans. By the way, at the MCG, no late changes for either Essendon or Collingwood. The medical subs there are Nick Hind for the Bombers and Callum Brown for the Magpies. This game's still well and truly on. If either team wants it, here at Launceston, our experts Nathan Burke and Jay Schultz. And we'll get their thoughts now. Schultzy.
Yeah, mate.
What'd you make of the third term?
Yeah, look, it was just me and Berkey just talking. The Sydney are happy just to continually to pop that ball to 20 and 30 metres out, create a big contest and try and get a score that way with either a crumb or a free kick or something, whereas Hawthorn are much more wanting to find a target inside 50 and having set shots. I think they've had 10 marks inside 50, and I think Swans may have only had 7 or 8. So it's going to be a tight last quarter. I think Sydney have probably got the game on their terms. And it's only when they make a bad error or turnover that Hawthorn are able to go down on a fast break and get a score. So it'll be a tight last quarter, I reckon. I still think Sydney might just creep over them.
Yeah, I think Sydney look like they're going to get more repeat efforts inside 50. They're winning the inside 50 count by 10 at the moment. And I just think the way that they're giving their forwards more opportunity. The Hawks it's sort of, there's 2 or 3 minutes in between inside 50s. And if they don't capitalise on that, well, then it's another 2 or 3 minutes before they get another one, whereas the Swans are getting those repeats. And normally in the last quarter, things may open up a little bit. So the midfield won't be able to push back as hard as what the Hawthorn midfield have had to do to get back inside their defensive 50. If they get caught, give that Sydney forward line a little bit more time and space, I reckon they're probably going to kick a big enough score to get over this. But the first 7 or 8 minutes is going to be really important. If Hawks can come out of the blocks really firing in this last quarter, maybe pinch 1 or 2 quick ones, and then I think it's going to be a really dour hang on for the last 15 minutes or so. So this first 7 or 8 minutes is going to be really important for the Hawks, because if Sydney do get their nose in front, well, then I think it's going to be really difficult to peg them back.
Give us a few numbers, if we please, Chris Rowbottom, to 3-quarter time here, where the Hawks lead by 9 points.
Yeah, so the leading disposal winners on the ground. Callum Mills having an absolute field day for the Swans. He's on 26 and a goal at a three-quarter time. Parker has 22, Lloyd has 19, Blakey has 16, Tom Mitchell leads all comers for the Hawks with 21, Scrimshaw 19, Morrison with 18.
Still a few twists and turns left in this game on Anzac Day in Launceston. Hawthorn by 9 points. Final term underway. Lynch and Laddams. Laddams snatched out of the ruck here for the Swans. They win the first clearance. High ball inside forward 50. Courage here from Day, who meets McDonald through the air. McDonald still down here for the Swans. McGuinness bobbles around. Day tries to go again as it's wrapped up here, holding the ball inside 50 for the Sydney Swans, and it was a tackle from Hardwick on Ronk.
Would not surprise if that's the end we see McDonald.
Yeah, he's very properly like a McDonald.
Yeah, he got cleaned up. It was nothing untoward, just a player coming in the opposite direction. I think his 20-minute concussion test at the minimum.
Hardwick's kick beyond defensive 50 is chopped off by McInerney of the Swans. He marked in front of Morrison. He cuts inside, then outside, and elects for the short ball to Mills, his 27th disposal of the afternoon. Kicks very wide to Bell, who marks just inside the boundary line, right half forward for the Swans. He'll pop it into the pocket where Buddy Franklin awaits. Well, Frost just engaged him and then got an errant boot to the ball. It cleared defensive 50, but Mills was waiting to take the mark, and he has it 65 out from goal. He'll put it to a dangerous spot. Pack will form. Heaney was worked underneath it by Ward. It's a free kick. So Isaac Heaney, who's been barely sighted for the duration of the afternoon, wins a free kick inside 50 for the Swans. His first shot on goal for the afternoon. Potential to light a fire underneath his team inside the first 2 minutes. The fourth and final term. He's lining up for the shot around his body. It looks pretty good off the boot. He pumps the fist. Isaac Heaney's on the board, and Sydney strike first in the fourth and final term here in Launceston. 9-8-62 the Hawks, 8-11-59 the Swans. 3 points the margin. Grandstand AFL.
Oh, there's another one around the corner there, Jay, but it went through. So you happy with that?
Nah, he does it well as well, so that's part of sort of what I was saying before. He forces himself to play on, which he forces himself under pressure, and it makes it more of a natural kick for him.
Nicole Bresnahan on the boundary.
Yeah, Logan McDonald has just headed downstairs with the doctor. Came off of the bench after that contest with Day. Didn't look in a great way as he came off, so he'll just be heading down for that concussion test now.
No, we could see it from up here. He looked very dazed, and that's not good news considering they've already subbed Paddy McCartan out for a similar ailment, a head knock. So Josh Kennedy's out there. He's playing in the middle as well, which has been not unfamiliar across his career, but certainly this year he's played mostly at half back. He's out in the engine room here as Hawthorn wins the first clearance after the Swans' goal. Ward sends the Hawks forward. Impey up in front of Campbell. Another 2-on-2 here as Lloyd chases it to the boundary line. It'll be over for a throw-in between wing and half forward at Hawthorn's attacking end. In the May Park end, where, of course, Ricky Ponting played his cricket for Mowbray Cricket Club. The Ricky Ponting stand at Bellerive yesterday, and the Ricky Ponting end here at York Park.
There's not many sporting grounds around Tasmania that don't have some sort of homage to Ricky Ponting, as two Hawthorn players, John Newcombe on top of the Sydney Swan at the bottom of the pack. In Josh Kennedy, he's pinged for holding the ball. Newcombe wants to get things going immediately. Had Scrimshaw running past to his left. He's at left half forward, Newcombe. Too far out to score. He'll put it inside 50, though, for the Hawks. Gunston at the back. Wingard roved it beautifully. Slick hands over the top to Kaczynski. Had to wait for it. It did so eventually. And Kaczynski bangs through his third for the afternoon. And Hawthorn hit right back, extend the margin back out to 9 points. 10-8-68 the Hawks. Sydney 8-11-59. Kaczynski for number 3.
There was a bit of a Sydney kick about that. Kick into the hot spot, and just a great crumb by Chatty, and then over the top, Kaczynski got out behind him and dribbled it through the goal really well for a nice finish. So it's one end and then the other end at the moment, so it's still tight play.
Yeah, you can chalk a lot of that one up to Chad Wingard hitting that front and centre at pace. The ball was just bubbling along the ground, knee height. He didn't fumble. That's what good players do. In those situations, they don't fumble, they're clean. Player coming at him, handball the ball over the top, and Kaczynski was good enough to gather and kick the goal. But great small forward play there by Wingard.
So 9 points, as was our three-quarter time margin, with goals apiece in this final term. Mitchell beats Mills to the 40 as O'Meara hits him front on. And that was an ugly bump from Jager O'Meara on Callum Mills.
Maybe looked at?
Yeah, I think it will. He's elected to bump. His head was over the football, so you do see those looked at for sure. Mills wide to left half forward. Berkey's thoughts in a moment as it's marked by Cunningham, 70 out. Options are plenty inside 50 here for the Swans. High to the hot spot now. McLean was shoved up in front, copped a push, but the umpire says no, the mark will be paid to Scrimshaw on the last line here for the Hawks. Concern for O'Meara on that bump, the Berkey?
Absolutely, because the play was down on the ground for a fair bit of time before O'Meara came into the contest. So he had long enough to make a decision not to do that.
Sicily clears defensive 50 for the Hawks. His kick's chopped off by McCartan of the Swans. He'll send Sydney back inside 50. Getting in front, though, was Sicily, who took the mark, and he'll kick laterally across the ground to Tom Mitchell. He's in the left back pocket. Outside of defence now go the Hawks. O'Meara marks. He's at left half back. He's back to that more traditional midfield role. O'Meara played as a defensive forward last week against the Cats. The kick to Impey, well, he hit the target, and there was some late contact coming through from Kennedy. Hawthorn fans thought it might have been a free kick.
Nothing wrong with that.
Umpire said he got all ball. I think so too.
It's fine.
It looked a lot worse than what it was. Impey maybe with a squirt of sauce as he went to ground. In it comes once again. Mitchell at the fall. He's tackled by Parker. It came out to Newcomb. Left foot ball is ugly and out of bounds on the full at left half forward for the Hawks. It'll be a Swans free kick.
They had more time than that, Newcomb. That's a tired decision. It's a two-step, throw it on the left and just try and get down the field as far as I can. You've got to be better than that when you're only 9 points in front.
Hawthorn hanging on. Sydney down a rotation, having made their sub already as well. Lynch crashes the pack. McGuinness dispossessed here in the row-bottom tackle. And now a free kick will go for holding the ball Hawthorn's way. Tom Mitchell on that occasion with the effective tackle. Brownlow medalist of 4 years ago. And former Swan to boot. Up to half forward. Drops here for Chad Warner to Campbell, and now Parker tumbles it up the line. McLean takes the chest mark here. Lays it off by hand to Rowbottom. They can get away through Goulden from just forward of the wing. Raking ball up inside 50. Bell in the pocket, neutralising the threat this time. Hardwick knocked it out of bounds for a throw-in. 45 around from Sydney's goal, City end. It's the Hawks who lead by 9 points. Seeing a replay as well of that contact from Kennedy on Impey a short time ago. 8 gone final quarter here at York Park on ABC Sport. You're with Grandstand AFL.
Boundary throw in. Right where the 50-metre line meets the boundary. In it comes. Rowbottom will get after it, chase it towards the boundary. He's tackled by Mitchell. Handball over his head, found Laddams. He's also tackled by Mitchell. Just slammed it on the boot, did Laddams. It was just inside the boundary line, knocked over for a boundary throw in. 35 metres around from the right hand behind post. Swans attacking 50.
Hardwick's done an outstanding job today as a defender.
In it comes. Laddams won it down. Here's Heaney, Hardwick's direct opponent. He was tackled by Hardwick. Got it out to Rowbottom, who tumbles one towards the top of the square. Getting back and marking on his chest was Day, who plays on immediately across the face of goal. He had McGuinness in the right back pocket. Umpire calls him to play on. His kick is way off target. He picks out McInerney, takes the market. Left half forward, plays on by hand immediately to Goulden. Kick inside 50. He's again chopped off by Day. Kick-to-kick footy, Hawks and Swans.
I'd love to see total turnovers this game as well. Maybe I wouldn't like to see it, to be honest, but it's a huge number. Here's Will Day from the right back pocket. He'll send the Hawks beyond the danger area. 2-on-1. Lloyd attempted to spoil despite the fact he could have marked. Here's McInerney, runs out of space, and will throw it back in on the eastern wing here at York Park.
Turnovers 58 apiece, mate.
Oh, okay, at least it's even. Yeah. Been plenty on both sides.
Yeah. Consistently inconsistent.
And going end-to-end all day. The umpire heaves it back in on the outer side. Lynch and Laddams at the feet of Rowbottom. He gathers, tumbles it up inside forward 50. Granger Barras floats across and intercepts.
59-58 turnovers. Sydney lead on that metric. Jai Newcomb marks at right half back for the Hawks, who hold possession as well as a 9-point lead. Almost 10 minutes gone. Fourth term here in Launceston, and his kick is smothered directly off the boot and it tumbles out of bounds for a boundary throw-in.
It'll be two tired mistakes there by Newcombe.
Yeah.
You've got a free kick. How can you kick it into the player on the mark? Going to turn into a grumpy old man by the end of this game. Even worse than I am.
Well, at least it was closer than the last couple, mate.
Yeah.
Let's get some highlights. There's Tom Mitchell taking James Rowbottom high. He'll get a free kick. 70 metres out from goal. Left half forward, plays on by hand immediately to McInerney, who sends Sydney inside 50. Massive fly from Isaac Heaney. And he held on. There's your highlight, Nathan Burke. And Heaney takes a hanger.
And he'll kick a snap.
Yeah, I'll take that one. It's tough for Hardwick to spoil from behind when the player you're trying to spoil is sitting on somebody's head in front of you. You get that extra ride. You can't jump that high.
Isaac Heaney, 30 metres out, slight angle. He'll kick around the body. Hawks players line up to try and touch it off the boot, and he misses. You're kidding me. Isaac Heaney with a terrific mark, set shot and a miss.
Still got to watch him, though, because even though he's had a quiet first 3 quarters, he is the kind of player to really just have those moments late when the game's on the line. He had one there and he wasted it. The Hawks are out of defence. Hardwick swings it wide here for Granger Barras. The young West Aussie has a bounce. Out right half back, now a second bounce. Kicks up the line, eastern side, and Moore swoops in to mark on his chest, just forward of halfway. Kick comes inboard in no time at all to Finn McGuinness. He plays on quickly. Where's the entry? Deep to the pocket. Up goes Gunston. And it will be thrown back into play. 25 around from Hawthorn's goal into May Park. And they lead by 8 points. Just seeing some of the reaction and some of the vision from the Sydney rooms where Paddy McCartan looked very distressed. And it's just heart-wrenching. You hate to see it because I think even he knows that any sort of head knock could always be his last in footy as he's already experienced as the Swans bring it away. Kennedy kicks to the outer side. Goulden tries to trap it now away from Morrison. Floats inboard for Franklin.
Franklin was waiting inboard, tried to get it back to Goulden, who kept on running up the wing. It just eluded him. He'll spill out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. Morrison right on his hammer. 8-point ball game here. Tight finish coming up. Hope you're enjoying the coverage from wherever you're listening from. Grandstand AFL. Hawthorn lead by 8 points. 10-8-68 the Hawks. 8-12-60 the Swans. Fourth and final term here in Launceston. Warple bounces on a loose footy, wrapped up by Rowbottom. Strong tackle. Parker comes up with it for the Swans. They'll work it out by hand and go inside 50 now via Warner. In fact, he might have a flying shot on goal. The young gun nails it. Chad Warner kicks his second, and that is a big goal for the Swans, who reel the margin back into just 2 points. Hawthorn 10-8-68. Sydney 9-12-66. 13 minutes gone, fourth and final term for Grandstand AFL.
It was a great finish by Warner. Buddy just kept running backwards to leave the space open in front of him, kept calling him forward, and he just really took that on his own hands and finished well.
And again, I love Luke Parker really dives in, puts his head over the footy. He was the one who won that loose contested ball on the wing. If he doesn't actually win that ball the way the Hawks go, he laid a tackle, he got up, he won the footy again, a handball over the top to, I think it was McLean, and Warner. It was really composed stuff from him. He got the ball about 70 out, ran to 55 and put it straight through.
On the restart, Adams goes clean out of the ruck. Tumbles a high kick inside forward, 50, 2-on-1, spoil from the back, McLean in attack, falls to McInerney as well, out of a tackle there from Ward, comes to Bell, he fires on goal from 35 and Frost can just knock it through for a minor score. But Sydney are coming, the margin is just 1 point, and bear in mind the Hawks have led all day. Sydney have not been in front at any stage today at York Park. It's 1 point the margin, 14 gone final term.
Short ball in from Hardwick, finds Frost, right back pocket for the Hawks. Franklin guards the mark. They've battled hard all day. Frost plays on. Short ball is just laced with danger. He made Morrison work for it. Eventually had to butter up. Turned it over, did Frost and Mills. The Hawks will come up with it. Frost back to McGuinness. He's got Ward across the ground. He had to wait for it, but the kick was good enough. Ward marks it left half back for Hawthorn. spots a target on the wing. It's the running Moore who marks on his chest just back of a wing for Hawthorn. He'll come inside. Short ball, tried to pick off Gunston, but getting across was Mills. Newcomb came through, barreled on past, couldn't win the footy. Impey wraps up Warner. Moore goes in after it. At ground level was Lloyd, who did well to win out a handball to Mills, who tumbles one into the middle of the ground. Goulden waits for it in time and space. Kick inside 50. Franklin running back towards goal, takes the mark.
It's just pace.
Yeah, he's a very quick man, and he just had Frost done.
What's he hurrying for?
Oh, no, there's no reason for a hurry.
It looks like he wants to hurry and get over and done with.
He's going to go right foot.
For the afternoon lands Franklin, but they don't get too much easier than that for the superstar. He kicks his second, and Sydney lead for the first time this afternoon. The Swans 10-13-73, Hawthorn 10-8-68. 15 and a half gone, fourth and final term here in Launceston.
Yeah, right. I think it's sort of just felt the last sort of 8 minutes or so that Hawthorn are almost playing to save the game as opposed to trying to win it at the moment. They've just stopped their run a bit. They haven't been hitting their targets as much, and then they're just looking like tired at the moment. Tired boys.
I'm not sure whether it was Parker or Mills who actually won the contested ball on their centre-half back area. And just out of the corner of their eye, they saw Goulden out by himself on the wing and just sort of pulled. It was a mongrel kick, but it got to him. And that just completely opened up the game for Franklin to go shooting back towards goal. So, again, it's that contested win that gets the goal.
Waiting for a clearance here. Nash off to Mitchell. The Swans. Laddams recovers here for Mills, and now Josh Kennedy kicks them back inside forward 50, tumbling towards the pocket, and it'll go out of play. Bearing in mind, the Swans were down by 32 points midway through the first quarter. It was an explosive start for Hawthorn. The Swans now find themselves in front. And a stoppage here inside 50 for them at the city end. They lead by 5 points, 17 gone final quarter.
In it comes inside forward 50 for the Swans. Nash and Laddams to the ruckwork. It spills to Heaney, who spots up a target. James Rowbottom marks in front of Warple, 40 metres out from goal. No angle to speak of. And he'll kick to stretch the Swans' lead even further.
It's a classic case of one team with their tails up, and they're running and they're outnumbering the opposition, and they're helping each other, and the other team are a bit shell-shocked. They're going, how do we do this? What do we do? How do we get this energy back? We need leaders to step up, but you can't rely on that. You've got to have everyone step up.
So Rowbottom to extend it to 11. He kicks from just inside 50. He looks to have pushed it across the face. It's right across the face. He doesn't register a score. And it'll be a Hawthorn kick deep in defence by James Sicily.
Sicily knows every disposal so important. As we approach time on final term, Swans by 5 points. Sicily thumps it long beyond offensive 50. It carries over the pack. At the back there is Jake Lloyd for the Swans. Just thumps it back from whence it came. McLean competes with Granger Barras. Good spoil from Granger Barras. At the drop, Tom Mitchell dispossessed without the football. That's what the crowd wants, a free kick. They won't get it. Sicily evades Bell, and he tumbles it back up the line now. Allowed to drop here. Sock it away. Two Hawthorn teammates hit each other. In there was Kazitsky. Away comes McEnany with the football for the Swans. High ball inside forward 50 again. Up goes Heaney. It bounced off his chest down to Parker. Out to Rowbottom. Back to Parker. Hand pass out wide. Swatted away by Sicily. Warner hurries a kick here towards full forward. McLean makes the contest there. Is it still alive for the Swans? Franklin waiting best position. Dispossessed. Kicks though away. O'Meara competes with Rowbottom. Kennedy swoops through. Shapes to snap. Doesn't have room. Now back off to Mills. They'll go again from deep in the left forward pocket. The kick is superb from Ronk. He thumps it through from 35 out. Ollie Florin, I beg your pardon, to give the Swans some breathing space. Swans out by 11 points, 19 gone final term. Ollie Florent with the goal. And what a moment for Sydney.
That was just pure pressure and wants it all. They've just got that little bit of an extra step and bit more extra energy than Hawthorn at the moment. Hawthorn look tired, and Sydney look up and about like they want to do it, and they're going to get it done.
Yeah, and Hawks are just chasing now, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're just chasing, and when they get their hands on the footy, it's just let's kick the ball as far down the field as we can, and hopefully someone takes a contested mark, and away we go. There's no system to their game. at all at the moment, whereas the Swans have just lifted their rating and Hawthorn haven't been able to go with them.
Yeah, they got right on top in their clearances, 36 to 24. They've got right on top in possessions, 133 to 107. So they're all over it at the moment.
Chance now for the Hawks to hit back through Morrison. It kicks inside 50. Gunston was diving. Blakey was all over him. He knocked it towards the boundary. It'll be a throw in at right half forward for the Hawks. A 43-point swing. Hawks were up by 32 after kicking the first 5 of the game. And Sydney have chipped away, looking to complete a dramatic heist. They currently lead by 11, the Swans. In it comes. Laddams did the ruck work. O'Meara's battled all day. He's wrapped up by Warner. We'll have a ball up right on the 50, right half forward for the Hawks, who are desperate for a goal now. Lynch won it down to O'Meara. He's once again tackled by Warner. He's been pinged for holding the ball, took on the tackler. Sydney wanted the advantage. Umpire said yes. Warner worked it with Mills, received it back, kicked beyond a wing now. Granger Barras gets back for the Hawks and takes the mark just back of a wing on the outer side.
So just forward of right half back. Granger Barras works his way around Ronk. Up the line now, it's marked by Josh Kennedy. So the intercept taken at left half back for the Swans. They lead by 11 points. We've now hit time on final term. Kennedy thumps it back up the line, 2-on-2. Strong grab taken by Sicily. It's just end-to-end between the arcs. Turnovers galore.
Yeah.
Who wants it more? The game's still alive.
Hawks have lost that spread, that switch of the ball. They were using the short kicks. They're just held up and they're just booting the ball along.
Another long, slow kick up the line's going to pick out a red and white jumper. This time it's Laddams who stands tall and takes the market. Half back for the Swans. He concedes some ground and goes back to Mills, who's had an absolute truckload of the footy this afternoon. His short kick back to Laddams, who's been pretty good himself. He marks just back of a wing for the Swans. Looks to go long towards right half forward. Getting across was Granger Barras. O'Meara at the fall. He's tackled by Rowbottom. Umpire circles and says, "I'll have it, please." Ball up just on the back of the square. Sydney attacking half. Up it goes again. Lynch uncontested. Took it out. O'Meara couldn't get it cleanly. Rowbottom handball to Ronk. Inside 50 go the Swans again. He puts it out in front of Heaney. He missed it. Hardwick's there for the Hawks. Got the handball back to Frost. He turns it straight over down the throat of Blakey, who marks just in front of centre wing broadcast side for the Swans.
I'm pulling my hair out. I don't know how the Hawthorn supporters, how they're coping.
Blakey from the wing. High ball inside forward 50. Up goes Lynch first of all. Hayward, second bite. Hand pass off to Ronk, who snaps and bounces it through. Ben Ronk from the right forward pocket. And the Swans just keep extending this margin.
Way to numbers. Just way to numbers. Getting the ball inside 50. The inside 50 count is 63 to 39. So front end for Hawthorn to have kicked 10-8, I think is pretty good considering they've been down that many in inside 50s.
Sydney by 17 points, 12-13-85. The Hawthorn 10-8-68, 23 gone final term on Grandstand AFL. By the way, no late changes Essendon or Collingwood. We'll take you off there next to the MCG in time for the Observance, which is always especially stirring. When 100,000 people there or close to it, you hear a pin drop during that minute's silence. So we'll have all that for you as soon as we're done here at York Park.
It's modern day defending. You just go at the ball, and twice they've left Ronk just standing 10 metres on the outside of the pack, gets a handball receive and snaps 2 goals in the last quarter. It could be the difference in the game. So it just gets me how these defenders do not actually pay attention to their direct opponents.
Swans by 17 points, and it's looking dire for the Hawks now as Sydney go out of the middle again through Mills. Franklin met it strongly. He worked Hardwick off the ball. Bouncing ball. Ronk could turn destroyer and all but end it. He does. He bounces through another. His third of the afternoon. And Ben Ronk silences Hawks fans once more. This time in Launceston. Sydney 13-13-91. A stellar comeback from 32 points down. Hawthorn 10-8-68. 24 minutes gone. Fourth and final turn for Grandstand AFL.
That was just a great effort from Buddy as well. Individual effort. He was coming hard at the ball. We had 2 Hawthorn players there. It hit the deck. He kept his feet. He whacked the ball, hit it out to Ronk, and then Ronk's just finished again, as he does.
23 points. They were down 32 halfway through the first quarter. What a last quarter of footy from Ben Wonk. 25 gone, final term. Sydney feels like they're just about home. Laddams held out of it by Nash. Newcomb's hand pass going nowhere. Mills tries to keep it alive. Newcomb goes again. Shrugs the Ronk tackle. It's off to Campbell. Dunked here by O'Meara. Ball goes with him. Umpire now comes, lets them play. Comes out wide from Kennedy to Goulden. Gets it back now to Parker. Kicks around his body. Back with the flight. Chad Warner can just calm things down on the broadcast wing.
Grown a leg here, the Swans. They are running on top of the ground. The short kick to Parker wasn't 15, says the umpire. He comes wide to Goulden, who marks in front of Scrimshaw, just in front of the broadcast wing, up against the boundary. Goulden cuts inside. He'll send the Swans inside 50 once again. Mark unable to be taken. Franklin at the fall, paddles it to himself. He's hassled out of it by Nash. Newcomb comes up with it. High tackle, maybe on Hardwick. Umpire said no. Hawthorn fans said yes. We'll have the ball up just inside the boundary line, 60 metres out from Sydney's goal. We've come home like an absolute steam train. Laddams fights hard on Nash. He's wrapped up. It comes out to O'Meara. Buried the head. Got it out to Moore, who shared it with Day. Over the top now, Wingard. Wants his left boot. Will kick up the line to nothing. Absolutely nothing. It dribbles out of bounds.
That is the most deliberate one I've seen all year. Not attempting to keep the ball into play.
One iota of intent to keep that in play from Chad Wingard. And
he had no one up forward, so he kicked it within a metre of the line. Oh, goodness me, umpires.
Amazingly, it stays in. Wingard plays tackler on Mills. It eventually bobbles out back to Wingard. Rides the tackle, got the handball to Ward, evaded the diving Mills, kicks Hawthorn inside 50, bouncing ball. It spills back out to Newcomb. He almost got rid of Campbell. He won a handball out. Umpire said it was in the back. Play on advantage was the call. Impey had a flying shot on goal. It was marked on the line.
Heaney marks it. Now flares it wide to McInerney. Comes back in field now for Blakey. Still at centre half back for the Swans. They control this game by 23 points. It's a 55-point turnaround from the halfway mark of the first quarter. It's with Hayward on the outer side. He's happy to chip it around. It's back to Cunningham. Inboard for Rampy. They know they're in control of things here, John Longmire's men. Rampy called to play on. Just gives it a roost on that left boot up the outer side of York Park.
Contest just forward of the wing, and it's McLean who stands tall and takes the mark in front of Sicily, who just cheekily stands over the footy, makes McLean come and get it and take his kick from right on the logo, outer side. Short ball to half forward. The Swans know this one is all but in the bag now. 27 minutes gone, fourth and final turn. McInerney swings it inside to Blakey, who marks casually in front of O'Meara. He's 75 out from goal. He'll put it to a dangerous position. Contest forms. Franklin can mark it on the second bite. He had a huge piece of it. He's been either given a free kick or paid the mark. Take your pick, but Franklin will kick for goal for a cherry on top against his former side. 30 metres out from goal, directly in front.
I think he paid the mark, but I wouldn't have.
Yeah, I'm not sure he had control of that.
No.
So Lance Franklin's kicked 2 goals for this afternoon. He can make things look a little tidier on a personal note with the third here, as Chad Warner just comes from the ground with a blood rule. James Rowbottom takes his place. Franklin will just take his full allotted 30 seconds and stare down the Hawthorn cheer squad behind the City end of the goals. He ambles on in, does the champion, leans back on the kick and pops it through for his third. Sydney will complete a stunning turnaround here in Launceston. The 4 points there for the taking. 14-13-97 the Swans. Hawthorn 10-8-68. almost half an hour gone, fourth and final term here in Launceston for Grandstand AFL.
Well, it's been a really professional performance this by Sydney Swans. They were 5 goals to nothing at the start of the game, but as we've come to expect from the Swans, they don't panic. They've got a specific game plan that they've been playing for a number of years now. They bring new players in who can play that way, and just over time they've just pegged it back, and when it really counted in the last quarter, they were the ones who really stepped up, and this is going to be a 5-goal win in the end, which is mega impressive.
Extraordinary turnaround. Looking for a clearance, Wingard in the middle, and pass back to O'Meara. Lays it off by hand. The man running by, Will Day, on the angle. It's marked by Moore, 65 from goal. Goes long to the hot spot here for Hawthorn. Spoil on Kazitsky. Loose ball picked up by Josh Kennedy. Morrison goes in one-handed, shrugs one tackle, now a second. He snaps from 35. It's all the way, not quite. Marked on the behind line by Isaac Heaney. Standing start here to Jake Lloyd in the right back pocket for the Swans, who lead by 29 points.
No real desire to get it moving anytime soon, but Lloyd eventually just goes up the line. Ward roved it off the pack for the Hawks. Newcomb fired out a handball in the Mitchell direction. He's mobbed by 3 Swans. Warner came through, handball to another 3 Swans. Kennedy came up with it, and they'll bounce off half back again here, Sydney. Can they add another? Florent combines with Kennedy, who kept running. He's got McInerney out wide in an acre of space. He trundles inside 50, 35 metres out, and he adds another to the tally. It's turning into a rout here of the Hawks. And I think as that ball was kicked, the final siren has sounded. Either way, the Swans are 15-13, 103. Hawthorn 10-8, 68. Looked to me as if there was some post-game celebrations beginning.
We don't need more York Park siren controversy.
Well, that's
Chris.
what I thought. I thought the siren here isn't overly loud, but it will go back to the middle. 31 and a half gone here in the fourth and final term.
Yeah, they kicked 7 goals, 2 in the last quarter. Just to completely roll them.
Yep.
To 1 goal.
When it was required, the one team stood up and the other one didn't quite know how to stand up.
Yeah.
Shocking bounce to get us back underway. 67-point turnaround. So John Longmire's men on the cusp of the top 4. They won't improve from 5th, but this has been a spirited win here. Josh Kennedy off to Rowbottom. They go forward again, up inside 50. Bell reaching for it. Ronk is circling. He's got 3 already. Picked up by Hayward, who snaps from 35 out. And that is the icing on the cake for the Sydney Swans. A goal in the dying seconds as Will Hayward joins the party and make that now a 41-point Sydney Swans lead.
Just 2 different ways to play the game. Hawthorn just started flat out with all the run and hitting targets well and finding free options, and then slowly went backwards, and then Sydney sort of started flat, and then just each quarter they've just got better and better and better, and they've got all the legs and all the run as we expect from them as a quality side that they are. And we said at the start of the game they need to win games like this for us to really be taking them seriously. They haven't been tested quite so much yet, and they've really put the nail in the coffin to Hawthorn today.
The Swans went down. Paddy McCartan went to the rooms and was subbed off, and they went a man down with Logan McDonald as well, so down a rotation. But they have absolutely buried the Hawks in the final term. They run out comprehensive 16-13, 109 to 10-8, 68 winners over Hawthorn here in Launceston. An unbelievable heist completed at York Park.
Head off the MCG very shortly. Goal kick is here. Lance Franklin kicked 3, so did Ben Ronk. 2 for Chad Warner. Singles for McDonald, Heaney, Florent, McLean, Hayward, Mills, Goulden and McInerney for the Sydney Swans. Meanwhile for Hawthorn, It was 3 to Kaczynski, 2 for Luke Bruce, singles for Moore, Gunston, Wingard, Warple, McDonald, their goal kickers. A 73-point turnaround. Give us your summation, firstly, Jay Schultz, and then Nathan Burke's got our 3-2-1 Player of the Year votes.
Yeah, like I was just saying, it was just a complete contrast of two different teams that one started really well, the other ones were a bit slow and a bit asleep at the start, and then Hawthorn sort of went backwards from there onwards, and Sydney just built and built and built to a good side. They've, like Berkey said, they've got a game plan that they know that they play. They know the players know it inside and out. They bring a few young guys in each year, and they teach them the system. They play it well, and they're able to produce, and that's why they've been such a good team for a while now.
Who'd you go with, Berkey?
Apologies to Rampy, Lloyd and Blakey. I thought each of them were outstanding, but I've given Warner 1 vote for 24 possessions and 2 goals. Luke Parker, 2 votes for 29 possessions. And Callum Mills, 37 possessions and a goal, best player on the ground.
3 to Mills, 2 to Parker and 1 to Chad Warner. The ABC Footballer of the Year votes as done by Nathan Burke. Thanks, Berkey. Thanks, Jay. As always, nice weekend spent with you boys. Enjoy the journey home.
Pleasure, boys.
Thanks,
Good one.
Thanks to Nicole Bresnahan. We'll get some reaction from the Swans rooms very shortly. Thanks to Chris Robert, as always.
Thank you, Spriggy. Fizzled out in the end, didn't it? But a wonderful win to Sydney.
Huge for John Longmire and his team. They're 5-1 now. They currently sit 5th, so not improving their position, but they have a spirited 73-point turnaround here for a 41-point win. Hawthorn by 14 points at quarter time, 15 at the half, 9 points at three-quarter time as well. Thanks to our tech team as well, Luke Purse and Mark Baldy Jennings. Thank you to Nicole Bresnahan, as I mentioned, and Akash Fodadar in the studio. And to you, most importantly, for your company as well, the MCG takes centre stage now. The Observance not too far away. Essendon versus Collingwood to round out round 6 of this AFL season. Enjoy the rest of your Anzac.